bitch. Oh, excuse you? Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry in. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Hey, y'all, welcome and happy Thursday. Oh, sorry, Wednesday. Pre-Thanksgiving. It's your boy Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about all things going on in celebrity news, pop culture, hot topics, all that good stuff. So that's a show for you. Definitely stick around because we have a lot of tea to spill today, including we got to talk about Dance with the Stars. The winner was chosen yesterday. Plus, we have some people who were on this season claiming that there's some behind the scenes culture on Dance with the Stars is a bit toxic. And Corey Feldman even threw some shade at Maksim Chmerkovskiy. We got the latest on this Warner Brothers Discovery bid. Apparently, they're in their second round. They feel like the coins that y'all trying to throw at them is not enough. So it's a second round of the bids. Shang-Chi star Simu Liu is blasting Hollywood for their lack of Asian representation, saying that studios think that Asian actors are risky. Speaking of Asians, Justin Lin. We have some behind the scenes. There's a book that came out that's breaking down a lot of behind the scenes drama of the Fast and the Furious franchise, particularly Fast X, and why Justin Lin walked away from the franchise because he got in a bit of a kerfuffle with Vin Diesel. So we'll break down some of the juiciness that comes out of that book. Speaking of shade, James Cameron is throwing shade at Netflix and said that they shouldn't be eligible for Oscar consideration, considering how they release their whole movie format and that sort of thing. Plus, we have some news. Netflix, speaking of Netflix is reviving Star Search. And it's got a twist. I got the person who's hosting it. We'll break it on down. And Star Search is my childhood. And we got some of the biggest stars that y'all love and adore today came from Star Search. So we got that tea. Plus, Sherri Shepherd seemed like she's going through it because John Murray, word on the street, is plotting a revenge lawsuit against the popular daytime talk show host. Plus, word on the curb is Bari Weiss, who, the jilted she works at CBS, but she once upon a time was trying to get a job over at The View, and they passed her over and eventually hired Alyssa Farrah Griffin. So it seemed now, according to reports, she's trying to get her revenge on that show by trying to create a right-wing GOP version of The View. I'm gonna tell you why that's not gonna work, but we'll get into it because that's what she's trying to turn CBS into. She's trying to turn CBS into Fox News. So we'll get into that tea and my overall thoughts around behind that. We got to talk about this Nicki Minaj $20 million this lawsuit where they're saying that the judge is intended to order a sale of the mansion so she could pay that the judgment that she's supposed to be paying. We get into that. Plus, Nick Cannon, yet again, another dingbat. As we was praising somebody black for one saying something smart yesterday. We got to go back into the ninja nonsense. So apparently, Nick Cannon is being slammed for saying that he'd rather raise a bully than have a child be bullied. So we'll get into that. Plus, child karma came to collect because Kristin Chenoweth about to be out of a job. We'll get into what job she about to lose. And the show that she's in on Broadway ain't even last a minute and they already closed it. Jinkx Monsoon, we got some great news about her and another gig that she done collected while Kristin Chenoweth got to find her new gig. And we got this tea about a drag race queen who somebody on social media, I didn't even hear about this until I saw like it started circulating from the drag race queen herself. But apparently they're saying that somebody from drag race ended up not alive and they're saying it's fake news, so we'll get into it. It's a well-known and more much loved drag race star. So we'll get into that and a whole lot more. Before we get to the topics, if you could please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. And before I get into the show, can you hear me? Hear me? Hear me? Y'all know that song. Can you hear me? Because yesterday we had some drama. You tried it to my some no technical problems today. I was like, okay, I want to see you try to run this show. I am a army of one. I do everything over here. I'm one of one, as Beyonce would say. I handle everything over here. I'm doing the audio, I'm doing the video visuals, I'm doing all the technical stuff. So I don't hire. Once upon a time I did have a producer, but now I handle everything. Good to see you back, Cleveland. You was over in PR. Hope you had a great time. Speaking of which, I need a damn vacation. Quiet as it's kept, but I know all that juiciness was over there. Them fine ass PR men. But anyway, so I'm guessing y'all can hear me because y'all haven't said, "Oh, we can't hear you." But anyway, let me hit the banter, which I already did, and let's get into our first topic. So I guess we can give a huge congratulations to Robert Irwin, Bindi brother, who won Dancing with the Stars. And did we expect that he wasn't going to win? Because we all kind of knew that he was going to win the season. I think everybody was hoping he was going to win. But nevertheless, it was revealed last night was the finale of Dance with the Stars, and Robert Irwin won the show. I think it's kind of cool though that his sister won the show, and then years later, when he was old enough to do it, he actually ended up winning. So, according to reports, it said Irwin will take home the show's Mirrorball trophy alongside his professional partner Whitney Carson after a season that saw some of the highest voting numbers in the program's history. Announcing the result, the host Alfonso Ribeiro declared the winners and new champions of Dance with the Stars are Robert and Whitney. The show has developed a reputation as reputation management with controversial figures often attempted to dance their way into public goodwill. Which y'all already know 9 times out of 10 that doesn't work. When y'all be bringing these problematic ass politicians to come on Dancing with the Stars, and y'all be trying to make people want to fall in love with them, they don't last usually about, I would say, like 3 episodes tops. They end up getting chopped. So but they said, but Irwin has been a beloved figure this season. Well, he's not problematic. That's why. With the marathon 3-4 hour finale, seeing him battle 4 other celebrities and their partners, influencer Alex Earl, Olympic gymnast, Jordan Childs, actor Elaine Hendricks. Funny enough, I don't know who any of these people are. The only people I know besides Robert Irwin is Dylan Efron, and that's because that's Zac Efron's brother. And excuse me, and a lot of the reality shows that I've watched, he's been on them. He did The Traitors, where Bob the drag queen came for him. And he's been in a couple of other things, so that's how I know Dylan Efron. But these other people, when y'all been talking about influencers, I'm like, child, who are you influencing? If majority of people don't know who you are. But I guess when you're part of a certain demographic, maybe she's a TikToker or something. I don't know. But she made it to the top 4. Congratulations, but you didn't win. And so then they said Irwin cried after his performance, saying he wanted to make his dad, the late Steve Irwin, proud. Here's another thing that irritates me about this show. It was that show, American Idol, all those reality competition based type shows that used to piss me off. They would milk the um the sympathy card so much. Oh, something bad happened in your life, or blah 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 blah, all that other stuff that we need to keep. They want to milk that, and that used to always irritate me because it's like, okay, is this a show about talent, or we just doing the whole sympathy gymnastics with this whole situation? And so they used to always play that up, and that's what irritated me about this season of Dancing with the Stars. Everything was always about Robert Irwin's father. Okay, his father. I love me some. I liked his dad. I used to watch like Crikey and all that other best. Like I used to watch when he would do his stuff, and unfortunately he died from what was it like? Was it an alligator attack or something? I can't remember. But um, I like what all the stuff that his father was doing because I liked all those nature type shows when I was a kid growing up. But at the same time, I'm just like, here's a kid trying to carve out his own identity, and y'all keep trying to attach him to the association of his father. And I get it that he and his sister have kind of taken on, not kind of, they actually have taken on the mantle that their father left behind. But at the same time, let him carve out his own stuff and stop making it only about trying to attach him to the situation regarding his father. So, um, to continue on with the article, he went on. Well, he basically said that I wish he could see it. I really wish he could be here. Well, he's there in spirit, and so then everyone went into the last show. I should say, because I remember hearing about it, and I was a little worried when I heard about it. They said he went in with an injury, so he had injured his ribs, and then the pair basically had to adapt some of the choreography. But he pushed through, and I think even if he would have having to give the bare minimum for his performance last night regarding the injury, I definitely felt like it was in he had it in the bag from the beginning because he won over America and he won over a lot of people. So um I really feel like he would have won regardless. But good on you for pushing through to the whole situation. So he also said, I've been dealing with rib pain. It's been getting progressively worse. Well, thank God this was the finale because I don't know if you could have continued on with this. If I pull something in the quick step, I can't do the instant dance. I can't do the freestyle, but if I push any harder, my body's gonna break. And people don't realize it's like this is why they always say like when you're a dancer, your career has a short shelf life because it's like yeah, dancers put their bodies through so much that by the time they get to be a certain age, you always hear like they've ended up with so many injuries. They got rib injuries and knee injuries and foot injuries and all kinds of other stuff. I mean, you see like when you looked at people like even performers who are dancers like Madonna and so many others, when you hear over the years and Prince when he was dancing around in them fucking pumps, um and got caught up in them prescription drugs and Michael Jackson dealing with all the things that he was doing when he was out there dancing and trying to give 110% and y'all trying to push through the amount of pain that your body is in and then eventually it breaks down. I'm like, you have Madonna touring with a freaking with broken bones and promoting confessions on the dance floor. Which sidebar, ma'am, we need confessions part two already. Stop the teasing on social media because you've been doing too much of that. But but I couldn't believe it because I forgot that actually 10 years ago, his sister Bindi actually won, and she was 17 years old, and this is back in 2015. She actually ended up winning. So, and they said co-host Julianne Hough said the voting had been the highest in the show's history, with the gap between Irwin and runner-up Earl the narrowest ever seen on the show. And shout out to Julianne Hough because she's gonna be co-hosting New Year's Rockin' Eve with her ex Ryan Seacrest, and they was talking about that he actually signed off on it. I'm like, oh, y'all in a good place, or you don't want her to spilling your personal tea on social media because she tried to go up for that gig, and you don't want to be seen as problematic. So, congratulations to you, sir. And speaking of which, there he is. You got Robert, his sister Bindi, holding up their mirror ball trophies. I think that was cute that they brought that. Corny but cute. And you got their mother on the far right. So, congratulations to you. So now, with that being said, let's get into this story. So, Dance with the Stars, shout out to y'all. Glad that y'all could sit and do all the positives and we could that wasn't what I wanted to do. Sorry, bring that back. Shout out to y'all with everything that you got going on over there. We always do the positives and stuff, but now we gotta get into the shady side. So of course, now the same person, well, Corey Feldman, sorry, was on this season of Dancing with the Stars. And he's basically calling out the toxic culture of the show and threw a little shade at Maxim Chmerkovskiy, who is now resorted to being a podcaster and just throwing shade at the contestants that's on the damn show. But y'all already know that he was like a hothead when he was on there. I think his brother Val was on this season. And then you had Mark Ballas with that man bun. I never liked him with the long hair. I mean, I could have sworn years ago he did have a big old man bun. He used to irritate me. Now he's like a man with gray hair with a man bun, and it's looking like, okay, sir, cut that shit off. But if you like it, I love it. But anyway, so apparently, according to the report, they said there was a lot of stupidity in the mudslinging that went on behind the scenes. This is what Feldman told the Daily Mail this past Saturday. He said, actually, everything was great, but behind the scenes drama and BS that people throw around that show, I've never seen anything like it. It's the worst, like most toxic. Now, the Stand By Me and Friday the 13th, the final chapter star, went on to admit that he's not excited to return to the show for the season 34 finale due to the constant negativity among the stars. Now, he says on the set, everybody gets along. Everybody's great. Everybody's happy. You're working hard. You don't even have time to look up. You're just working. But then it's like you start reading these things in the paper, like this person's mad at this person. These people aren't talking to each other. Are people working hard enough? Corey Feldman destroyed the show. He destroyed the whole show because he was such an egomaniac and it's so difficult to work with. And then you're like, where's this coming from? And I asked my pro dancing partner, Jenna Johnson, I'm like, where's this coming from? She's like, oh, it's just Max. She rolls her eyes. She's like, oh, it's just Max. Don't pay attention to him. He just wants attention. I was like, oh my God. He told the outlet of the drama surrounding him. Reps for Chmerkovskiy, Johnson and Dance with the Stars, as you know, per the article, did not respond to requests for comment, and that was paid 6. Now, in September, Chmerkovskiy told the Daily Mail that Feldman was giving his sister-in-law Johnson a difficult time this season, hindering her chances to win. Saying obviously Jenna has a bit of an uphill climb with Corey, which is easy for everybody to say from outside, but I know she's having a much more difficult time with this entire thing, and to the point where it's really difficult for her. He also speculated that Feldman's dancing issues were likely due to his lack of dancing abilities and work ethic. Well, here's the thing, sir. How long have you been doing Dance with the Stars before you no longer were doing it, and now you resulted to being a mouthpiece behind the scenes in a podcast? You already know that the show has always been about like not everybody has the ability to get up there and be the best dancers. We've seen a lot of people with 2 left feet that have appeared on Dance with the Stars. Some of them haven't lasted an episode, some of them have lasted longer than they should have. However, let's not play dumb like you're not even aware how this show freaking works. And for you to sit and specifically point out Corey Feldman, and I saw people in the comments, oh, but has been talking about, I'm like, fuck, what are you talking about? First of all, this show is full of has-beens. And you want to sit up here and try to make levels of who's the most has-beenest of them all? They're all a bunch of D to Z listers. When will you ever see an A-lister appear on Dancing with the Stars? I'll wait. You'll never see a Jennifer Lopez. You'll never see a Beyonce. You'll never see a Lady Gaga. You'll never see a Madonna. You'll never see any of those people appear on Dancing with the Stars. This is like when people are circling the drain of the end of their damn career. That's the show they go on. So let's not sit up here and try to act like A-listers come on the fucking Dancing with the Stars. Get off my line with that. So Max, of course, I do agree. Like this is all for attention, whatever the case may be. But if the like, why? If she said it's just Max, ignore him and rolling her eyes, then where is he getting this information from? Because let's not try to act like maybe there's a possibility that you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Because his sister-in-law is on the show, and if she's telling you things and he's going around like a damn stool pigeon instead of shutting the hell up and keeping his head down and minding his business and working on whatever he's got going on instead of still trying to latch on for Dance with the Stars for clout, then he wouldn't have no reason to come out and say some stuff. So I'd have been looking at her with a side eye too. It's like, well, where's this coming from? And you can't just say, oh, it's just Mac just saying stuff. He has to be getting it from somewhere. So and yeah, there has been things going on. It's not just about his work ethic. I don't know what his work ethic is because I wasn't there with him during rehearsals. But there was other people that was coming out, and I think shout out to Kayla Says because she did a whole video on what's going on with Dancing with the Stars, which I thought was fairly interesting. And she was talking about how her fiance is so invested in the show and how people was getting mad over certain people who definitely has those dance ability, like that Mormon Wives chick that got kicked off. People was upset over that, and then Hilaria Baldwin, who changes her accent more times than Madonna, had to come out and have the unlitigated gall to sit up here and say, I was voted off the show. I was bullied off the I'm like, bitch, nobody bullied your ass off the show. Nobody likes you. The only one that puts up with your ass is Alec. So let's be clear. Nobody likes Hilarious Baldwin. Because that's what I'm going to start calling her. Because the bitch ain't funny, but I'm going to just call her Hilarious Baldwin. Because everything that comes out your mouth is laughable. So maybe that'll be a good way of switching up her name. But no, girl, you're not likable. And part of the thing about a lot of these shows, particularly Dancing with the Stars, you have to have a sense of likability. Hence why Bindi brother won the Mirror Ball trophy. So, yeah, hilarious. Nobody likes you. That's why you were voted off. And yeah, there's some people on there that have the ability of dancing, whatever the case is, and maybe politics does play into it. But here's the thing: politics plays into everything. And how they were saying, like, there was one guy that was on there. I think he's a comedian. He was basically saying like, yeah, doing the TikTok videos and all other stuff. A lot of that plays into trying to get those votes. I guess is the new era because, yeah, Dancing with the Stars was struggling in the beginning. People wasn't really checking that show like it was, but for some reason this season everybody's into it. Everybody's been talking about it. The show's been in the the social media zeitgeist. And a lot of people have been talking about it and stuff, but maybe because they skewered younger, which I heard there was some complaints about that. But here's the thing: the show's been on for so damn long. You're gonna have to try to find a way to gear this show to a much younger audience. You can't. I mean, a lot of the old guard, yeah, people like my parents and probably older watch Dance with the Stars because it was on network TV. It's been on for so long. People just stick with it. But if you're trying to reach that younger audience, I felt like maybe they did feel like they did the right thing. So I believe every show has its toxicity, but I'm glad that Corey Feldman was out here spilling the tea, though. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Robert Irwin walking away with the Dance with the Stars trophy, Mirrorball trophy, and Corey Feldman talk about the overall behind the scenes toxicity that plagues the show? So, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Damn, that's a lot. I remember Aaliyah, Beyonce, and Tracy Smith. Yeah, they were. They all started out on Dance with the Stars. I mean, not Dance with the Stars. Um, Star Search. Mike Johnson might leave the House after word is coming out. Word is coming. Democrats might take over before midterms. He wants to. There's a lot of stuff that they're doing behind the scenes where they're helping push a lot of progressive Democrats to challenge Chuck Schumer, because Chuck Schumer just did a video the other day, which I just laughed at. I'm like, God, this man is so boring. He's literally up there cackling, like just boring me to death. Talking about Trump won't condemn Nick Fuentes. I'm like, this is what we're worrying about right now. Fuck Nick Fuentes. 9 times out of 10, unless you're on the internet, most people don't know who the fuck that boy is. But this is what you choose to focus on. Like, shut up. It shows him and his sister are both. Some people got it. He seems like such a wholesome person. They put politicians on this show, do they not? Yeah, they put a lot of right wing politicians on Dancing with the Stars. Let me check and remember who. Not on the View. 'Cause I can't they said openly Republican. Hold on. This wasn't what I was looking for, but it was Sean Spicer. I remember when he was on there, I couldn't remember his name. And even Tom Bergeron hated that they were doing all of that because they had Tucker Carlson was on the show. Rick Perry was on there, who was a former Texas governor who ran for the Republican presidential nomination twice. Tom DeLay was on there. Sarah Palin went on there once, and Bristol. Them fucking names. Also, Geraldo Rivera, Melissa Joan Hart, Candace Cameron Bure, Antonio Sabato Jr., and John Schneider. They didn't last long, but they was on there. Yeah, so they've had Republican conservative types um on there. I was trying to say if there was any more, but I feel like at this point that was enough, right? We don't need to make any more announcements regarding that. Why are people so surprised about Lady Gaga's father as a psychotic conservative Republican? I don't know why people shocked, but that's her father. She stuck with him. Elaine Hendricks was in Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion, and also Lindsay Lohan's Parent Trap. Stingray. Um, Steve Irwin. Oh, you said he died from a stingray attack. That's what you better leave them more wild animals alone. Yeah, he was like, yeah, he was little when he passed away. It said it's like they always ask about their tragic past, and I'm just like, did I not click on a date? Exactly, because I be saying I'm like, I ain't here to hear about your tragic past, but they always seem to do it. It's like these producers be so out of touch. I used to hate it when they did it on Dancing with the Stars. I used to hate it when they did it on So You Think You Could Dance. I used to hate it when they did it on American Idol. That's why I stopped watching those shows over the. I'm like, is this what we doing? It's a the sympathy show. He kind of become a sec. Well, yeah, because he's of age and the boy's got body and he's attractive. So you already know that's what people are gonna go for. Look how he taking off his top. If the dad was alive, would either one have been picked for the show? That's a good question. Probably not. They would probably ask the father first, and then they would have asked the kids later. As I also asked myself that if Selena hadn't passed away, would we have been? You know what? That is a good question. Would Jennifer Lopez have the career she has today if Selena was alive? I heard Corey didn't last. He didn't. He didn't last long. Not Jennifer having Selena's career. Well, she thinks she did. She never reached the heights of what Selena did. Like, I don't think Jennifer Lopez has ever sold out a stadium like Selena has. We do need a Aaliyah documentary, but I just feel like stuff is so messed up with her that will we even get something accurate? That girl been through a lot with all them pervert ass men, trying to come for her. R. Kelly. Who else? Dame Dash and Jay-Z. They was both fighting over Aaliyah. Dame won in the end, but at the same time, I always felt I never understood her being with. I mean, I guess her with being with older men, but I guess the way Aaliyah always came across like she was wise beyond her years, but at the same time, there should have been people protecting her from these old nasty ass men in the music industry. Now you know why I side eyed his Jan comments because it was out of jealousy. Nobody said you had to leave and go to Ukraine to support your family. Wait, who we talking about? He said the DOG threw gross face. No, well, she don't want to decide to fuck up her face. You said my trip was amazing. I have the best time on vacation. Well, that's a lot of cousins. It was a family trip. Those are the best. Well, I won't. I won't. No, I won't say that. I was gonna say some of those are the best ones. Mm-mm. Especially when you don't like a lot of your family members. Anyway, back into the show. All right, let's talk about Warner Brothers Discovery. So we heard they were going through their first bids and everything, but now Warner Brothers Discovery has asked bidders to submit a sweetened deal. Well, second time around, they're going with this situation where they're not satisfied with some of them numbers that y'all coming with. So they're like, y'all need to come with something better. So that's where we are with this. So news of Warner Brothers Discovery's deadline for the second round of bidding was first reported by Bloomberg News. Following the submission of the new bids, the company may enter a period of exclusive negotiations with one of the companies, per Bloomberg's report. The first round offers of WBD were submitted last Thursday, November 20th, from Paramount, Skydance, Comcast, and Netflix. Y'all already know how I feel. I don't want Skydance to get it, and I damn sure don't want Netflix to get it. Netflix has said that if they do acquire it, that they will honor the whole theatrical release thing. I'm not buying it because Tom Serranos has come out and said many a times that he doesn't want to honor the whole traditional sense of releasing movies in theaters. We've seen what he's done with that with Netflix, and a lot of times he's just burning, he's burning money, and a lot of times he'll cave depending on the situation, if he wants to get those, Oscar considerations, which we're gonna get in that story after this, later on, when we talk about James Cameron throwing a little shade against Netflix and how they don't like the fact that, well, if you're not willing to do what we all have to do to get that Oscar consideration, then y'all should not be allowed to submit your stuff for the Oscars. So I'm not for Netflix, and I damn sure ain't for Paramount. And word on the street was, because I just saw this article over on Comic Book Movie, that they said something or other about that this is Donald Trump's involvement with this whole story. Because remember, he allowed Skydance he cleared the path, I should say, for Skydance to acquire Paramount, Paramount in general. They've only had it for less than 6 months, and already you trying to throw your hat in the ring and steal some. I mean, not steal, but acquire. I'll say, being more diplomatic, acquire another studio. And it's like, can you make sure that you got things going good with Paramount before you try to come over here and buy up something else? Because we see what you're doing, and you're allowing politics to kind of, get in the middle of all of this stuff. So now, with Trump over there all of a sudden coming in, oh, I want you to make another Rush Hour movie. and kind of sweeten that deal with working that out so that way they could clear the path for them and try to get Warner Brothers. I see what y'all doing over here. And now when more of this stuff is coming out, then it's like proving me even right every time I talk about this. And this is based on just me observing what's all going on. I'm like, I see through the bullshit. And then days or weeks later, y'all are proving some of the stuff that I've been saying. So ratings for Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount Skydance declined to comment. Comcast and Netflix did not immediately respond for requests for comment. Last month, Warner Brothers Discovery announced that it had received inbound M&A interest from multiple parties and kicked off a process to review offers. The company said it will consider proposals in which the Warner Brothers business, HBO Max and Studios, is sold separately from Discovery Global and TV-centric company, which aligns with Warner Brothers Discovery's already underway plan to split into two companies in April of 2026. Netflix and Comcast have been eyeing a deal to acquire Warner Brothers streaming and studio operations separate from WBD's cable TV business. I know this is a lot. It's just like, what? It's like all this splitting of things. Paramount Skydance is interested in acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery in its entirety, but if that's not what they plan on trying to do, then why are you even trying to get the whole thing? So, because I don't believe that, okay, now if you're trying to get it into an entirety, what you want is you want their movie catalog. So then you're going to come in. And like I said, if they acquire their movie catalog, where you have Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca over there who are really pushing the boundaries of finding really good projects to bring over to Warner Brothers, and they're diverse projects. So if it wasn't for Pam and Mike, we wouldn't have Sinners. We wouldn't have Weapons. We wouldn't have, Mickey 17, even though nobody went to go see it, but we wouldn't have Mickey 17. We wouldn't have all these other diverse types of movies that comes out. And if the Ellison family gets their hands on this, we already know how y'all feel about any kind of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Will we get another film that celebrates diverse type of stories being told if you not only acquire CBS, which y'all letting that bitch Bari Weiss come over there with her convoluted conservative ideology and spreading it all throughout the news program. Now you want to sit up here and do that to CNN. I mean, quiet as it's kept, CNN's already cooked with some of the ridiculousness and the propaganda they're already spewing over there, still giving that dumb Jennings dude a position over there. That smug prick. I can't stand him. But he stays up on there with it. Look that he always gives and the misinformation and always kissing Trump's ass with everything that he be saying and trying to, oh, there's no evidence of all this stuff in the Epstein files. And it's like we're presenting you with the shit and you still trying to act like you dumb. Kind of like Bill Maher's stupid ass. But anyway, so with all that being said, this is why I don't want them to acquire it. But I don't know where in the whole situation does Comcast fit in? Do they have the wherewithal to match people like Netflix and Paramount? And they're talking about they have like what they say, Saudi Arabia is trying to get involved by throwing some money into the situation. So that's where the money's gonna be coming from for the Ellisons to be able to purchase and using that money to help purchase it. But I'm like, if y'all such billionaires, if your daddy is this big billionaire, why don't you want to use his money? Why you want to go over there to, Saudi Arabia and ask them for their money? If your daddy's so rich, why don't you ask him for a loan? I mean, I'm sure you got some of that money up in your account. Now, they said Paramount Skydance, as I said, is interested in acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery in its entirety. Paramount chief David Ellison previously submitted bids for WBD, but the Warner Brothers Discovery board rejected its 23.50 share offer of 80% cash and 20% stock. Paramount Skydance's first round bid last week, fully backed by the Ellison family, i.e., Oracle founder Larry Ellison, along with Redbird Capital Partners, was expected to be roughly in line with Ellison's previous 23.50 share offer, the Wall Street Journal previously reported. Details on the offer terms and prices of the Warner Brothers Discovery bidders cannot be confirmed. Now, as part of its offer to buy Warner Brothers, Netflix execs told WBD that the streamer would honor the latter's theatrical distribution deals to keep Warner Brothers films in cinemas if its bid is successful. And you know what all this is going to lead to is layoffs. I'm already pissed off at Paramount for canceling the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ronin movie. Like, I'm like, that was dumb because, we want to do something more kid friendly. We've already had kid friendly with Paramount. Didn't work. That was one of the ones that y'all did with Stephen Amell. And then the one before that, where he played Casey Cooper, or was it Casey Jones? No, it was Casey Jones. Casey Cooper. Casey Cooper was in Scream. Um, Scream 2, I believe. Anyway, because Casey Becker was in Scream 1. Casey Cooper was what's that Jada Pinkett character? But anyway, never mind. That's neither here nor there. But um I'm just a little annoyed with this whole situation. I don't like the idea of Paramount trying to get up in this because they already had to lay off people for Paramount, and now you're gonna have to lay off more people for Warner Brothers. So I believe that that's probably gonna happen regardless. But I just don't like this whole idea of, oh, I want to buy up a studio and then I want to make everything in my likeness instead of giving people who actually have the talent to create and come up with interesting, new, fresh ideas the ability to come up with a story, write a script, come to a studio, want to sell their product to the studio and get the wherewithal they can to make this movie. Instead, no, we gotta add certain oligarchs propaganda and things, which is what they're slowly trying to do over there at Paramount. Now, if that's what you want to do over there with that, then you have the opportunity to turn that studio into whatever. But I don't want one person owning a bunch of studios and we're getting the same type of bullshit stories that we're getting, and then we're sitting here rolling our eyes and y'all wonder why the Hollywood machine is, or Hollywood films and everything as a whole, that people aren't turning out to go see movies in theaters and that sort of thing, and the whole landscape is dying. Is because if you're not willing to come out and allow people to be creative and come up with new and fresh and interesting ideas, then Hollywood's going to die on the vine. And if it does, that's on you. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of the story? This is just the latest now. I'm sure that once we find out the latest on who's actually going to end up buying it, we'll talk about it when we cross that bridge and what that all means for the future of film and the future of Warner Brothers. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I do believe, in my opinion, Zaslav is going to remove the sale because he doesn't want Paramount at all. That's probably, I think, why he's been jerking him around. Like he keeps being like, "Oh no, the bid is not enough. The bid is not enough. The bid is not enough." So he's probably jerking him around because they were so hell bent on getting their hands on it. They actually gave a co-CEO job, their job offer to Zaslav, and saying that, oh, you can keep the same people on board. You can keep, Mike and Pam, and you could also, I think they also even said that you can keep um James Gunn and Peter Safran. Which, people are trying so hard to still push this narrative because every time you got Zack Snyder over there posting pictures from Justice League and Batman versus Superman. Like he's posting, everybody's still holding on to the hopes of, oh, the Slayverse is coming back. The Slayverse is coming. No, the fuck it isn't. People need to move on. Like I like some of the movies. I'm tired of having to reiterate this before I say it. I like some of the Snyderverse movies. The problem is it didn't make enough money for the thing to keep going. If it was such a blockbuster success, we wouldn't need to cancel the whole Snyderverse and bring in a new regime. So it wasn't working. It had like a limited view. They want to reach a larger audience. And yes, Superman did not do as well as Man of Steel. However, let's wait and see all the other things that's coming down the pipeline from James Gunn before we consider calling, his DCU a failure. So suck it up, Buttercup, and just deal with it. You don't like it? Then just watch the animated Batman, Justice League, Superman films that they make. They make all those animated films that be straight on HBO Max. FYI, New Line Cinema is Warner. They're the one, yeah, they're the ones that turned down Rush Hour 4. So no, they don't want Trump on their studio. Yeah, because I believe I forgot what I said yesterday. Who's distributing and getting a piece of the pie? Y'all just gonna have to watch that whole video to get all that breakdown. Once I've said what I've said, is out of sight, out of mind. I moved on to the next thing. I only got so much room in this file cabinet up in here. Why does it seem like all these studios are being? And that's basically the point I'm trying to make. It literally is like studios aren't even making movies for us to just sit and as a form of escapism. It all feels like it's rich oligarch corporate business people pushing their propaganda on the audience. And that's what and it's literally being obvious that this is what they're doing. I used to yearn for the days, movies have always had, political things in it. That's always existed in film. But studios let people rock for the most part. Now we're just like all of a sudden you get these rich people that's like, oh, I could just buy a studio because I'm bored. It's not even about people with actual talent owning things and running things. Now it's just, okay, I'm some wealthy businessman and I just want to buy a movie studio and I want them to make the stuff that I want them to make instead of some people coming in that actually have the talent being able to make the things they want to make. If it was up to people like David Ellison, he probably would have, a bunch of 12 years of slaves being made just to show, and that be the representation of black folks or any kind of ninja nonsense Tyler Perry making. But Tyler got his own damn studio, so he don't need them. But anyway, let's move on because my head was starting to hurt and talk about all that foolishness. Let's talk about Simu Liu, who is calling out studios. It's funny, I was talking about I'm tired of the studio thing, and now we got to get into this mess. So yeah, Simu Liu is kind of pissed off and at the industry for the lack of Asian representation in film. So Chinese-born Canadian Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ring star Simu Liu has put Hollywood on blast for what he refers to as backsliding on Asian representation. Well, child, ever since they got rid of that, the DEI stuff, they backslide on a lot of people. It's not just y'all. But I get it. Asian people are getting even lesser roles than black people. Black people had to fight long and hard for that. I know Latinos are barely getting represented, which is why a lot of times when you do see Latin people, I think for the most part, they end up some of them, as you've seen, will play white characters because the complexion. So they can get away with like playing a white character. People like Jennifer Lopez, people like what the hell that Oscar Isaac playing Dr. Frankenstein in the Frankenstein movie, and he's from where's he from? Guatemala. And Pedro Pascal is the main one. He plays, he does play Latin roles, but for the most part, he does play a lot of white characters. Most recently, Reed Richards in uh Fantastic Four. But to get back to this, but let's get back to what Simu had to say. The actor who has never been shy about speaking his mind on social media took to threads to call out the double standard he feels exists in the movie industry, which allows white actors to fail upwards by continuing to land highly sought after roles despite their film losing money for the studio. Well, sir, welcome to the club because I've been screaming this from the rooftop for years, but let's get into what he had to say. He said, put some Asians in literally anything right now, Liu said in response to another post calling for Hollywood to cast more Asian male actors as romantic leads in movies. The amount of backslide in our representation on screen is fucking appalling. Studios think we are risky. Well, as I've been saying, black people have been dealing with this for years. You know how many times black actors have been told that they can't sell a movie overseas? People like Denzel Washington, people like Halle Berry, people like Samuel L. Jackson, Will Smith, I'm sure was told that too, and then he proved them wrong. But there's been a lot of black actors who were told over the years, and that's why I said join the club, sir. It's just people of color in general. They always think white is right and white is all that sells, and it's like it's not true. But if that was the case, then why was Crazy Rich Asians a huge hit? Why was Shang-Chi a huge hit? And we still waiting on the damn sequel. Why we haven't gotten a sequel? I like the movie, and the movie did fairly well at the box office. How many roles have Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney gotten, and nobody cared? Speaking of which, I'm like, wait, do I have that article? I think I forgot to add that up in here. I may have to look that up when I'm done with this topic because I do want to bring that story up. Speaking of, oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so let's get back into what he had to say. So they said, despite the perceived risk, Lou mentioned several movies featuring Asian leads that proved to be massive box office hits, including Minari, Farewell, Past Lives, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah, I forgot about that movie. And that was a huge hit and won a bunch of Oscars. Crazy Rich Asians, as I mentioned, and of course, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Well, you need to scream at big head ass Kevin Feige and ask him what the hell is taking this damn Shang-Chi movie so long. You want to focus on a bunch of people we don't give a damn about. Like, how many Ant-Man movies have we gotten that have been mid at the box office and they still kept making them? every single one is a financial success, he added. No Asian actor has ever lost a studio even close to $100 million, but a white dude will lose 200 million twice and roll right into the next tentpole lead. We're fighting a deeply prejudiced system, and most days it sucks. Liu was far from the first actor to raise these concerns, and it's difficult to argue with the perception that studios are far less concerned about diversity in their movies these days. Now, Shang-Chi will appear, he has mentioned that he is an Avengers Doomsday because he has been kind of talking a bit about it. And they said a recent report claimed that Liu was originally going to play a major role in the Kang dynasty prior to the project being revamped. And y'all already know why it was revamped. They tried to say, oh, it's because we already had this in the bag. I mean, we already had these plans that we were going to bring Robert Downey Jr. back as Dr. Doom and stuff. I call BS on that. I don't think that was ever the plan. The plan was they were going to use Kang. The problem was Kang was wasted in that third Ant-Man movie. That movie was god awful. And then y'all had him in the last season of Loki, which I didn't like what y'all was doing with him in that either. And so Jonathan Majors was trying to do what he could do the best with that part. And the writers just fucked that up. And not only that, but there was also Jonathan Majors' personal stuff that he had going on, which hurt the DCU, the MCU, and they didn't want to be connected with all of that. They were trying to distance themselves from that drama, because you know how Hollywood is. So in a in a way, Simu got hit with a stray because of the other people, but still, you could utilize him. Y'all should have had a Shang-Chi out eons ago. But this is the same studio that can't figure out how to make a goddamn Blade movie work. So why are we surprised that the lack of the lack of representation for Asian people? And I would sit and say, though, why don't you go and try to produce these type of films and fuck Hollywood? Go to your hometown, your home of Canada, and see if you can scrounge up some money and get more into them. Because here's the thing: closed mouths don't get fed, and I'm glad you're speaking out. But getting in your producer bag, figure out how you can scrounge up some money to make that lead Asian romantic comedy movie that you want to make, or that action movie that you want to make. I mean, Louis Tan got a movie out that I'm actually looking forward to seeing with Kate Beckinsale. I rented that. I forgot what it was called. I think it was called Wildcat. That's getting pretty interesting reviews. It's available on Prime Video, and it's getting relatively good review. I like Louis Tan. First of all, he's a good looking man. Number two, I like him because he does martial arts and stuff. And I didn't like what they did with the whole Cole Young character over there in the Mortal Kombat movies, which he is going to be in the second one. But for the most part, I'm actually looking forward to seeing that movie. Y'all know I'm a big Kate Beckinsale fan, so anything she's in, even if the movie is not that great, I'm going to watch it. I love me some Celine. She'll always be Celine to me. So, now they also said that according, I want to see if I don't want to reread the same thing over and over. Okay, so they said according to Inverse, in the original plan of Avengers 5, then called Kang Dynasty, Shang-Chi would have been one of the film's main leads. Marvel was forced to make some big changes to the story following Kang actor Jonathan Majors' assault conviction, and we got word during last year's San Diego Comic-Con that the movie is now titled Avengers Doomsday, with Tony Stark actor Robert Downey Jr. set to make his MCU return as Victor Von Doom. And I said, this is literally a Hail Mary. They're desperate. They were trying to find a way to zhuzh up this franchise because post-Endgame, MCU kind of been slipping. So now we got to dig into our old bag of tricks, our old bag of desperate tricks, and let's bring back Robert Downey Jr. to save this franchise. Y'all better hope and pray y'all got a good one on your hands. So if it don't work, then y'all are doomed, or you're screwed, or you're cooked. There's so many different iterations we could say y'all are fucked. Now, Shang-Chi is still expected to be a fairly important part of the story, but it sounds like his role may have just been significantly reduced. Well, we won't know until we see Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. And if he is significantly reduced and wasted, you already know I'm gonna come on this show and bitch and moan about it. So there should have been a way that y'all should have really judged up Shang-Chi. He is, Simu is a charismatic actor. I like the fact that he's outspoken in real life. And, some people said that, oh, this is your karma for some things that you said in the past about certain. I'm like, I don't know about all of that. All I know is I'm glad that he's speaking out and calling out Hollywood on their BS. So congratulations to you. And speaking of which, because like he said, people get to fail upwards. All these white people get so many opportunities. There was a story that I totally forgot to bring up, and it was regarding Sydney Sweeney because she has a new movie coming out called The Housemaid. And they basically said that that movie is going to be a big hit or whatever. I think actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this into a topic. So Um, in the meantime, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? I definitely want to hear from y'all regarding what Simu had to say. Do you agree with him? But I also think like I mean I'm assuming that he has other business endeavors and he's been out here producing and stuff. But if he's not, because I haven't I don't know off the top of my head I haven't looked into it. So get into your producer bag and let me and we definitely want to see if you got what it takes to produce, because I always say don't sit around waiting for Hollywood to develop or create projects. Sometimes you got to get your hands in dirty and create the path that you want to have on your own. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. All right, y'all. So now, since we live, what I got to do is, as I stated before, I got to create this new story because I totally forgot. There was this, I was like, wait a minute. There was something else I was supposed to add to the show. I'm going to add that Sydney Sweeney thing to the docket. So give me a second because now I got to do a whole situation creating in real time. Uh-huh, Which y'all have seen me do this in a live before. So the spirit is telling me to do it. All right. Looks like I'm done. One and done. Okay, so now let's see what the people are saying. I know, right? Go look at the old Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, World War II cartoons, and propaganda in it. Okay. When you start to look back on a lot of things, you start to realize that a lot of that exists. Hold on a second, because you want to know something? What I realized I didn't do. Let me start seeing. I forgot to be adding that to the show. Okay, so. Mm, 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 mm. No Shang-Chi 2, no Blade, no Authority. Looks like Hollywood has a problem with non-white, non-straight actors. Just saying. Speaking of which, there's a movie that's supposed. Damn, I forgot. There was another thing I was supposed to bring up too, in regards of. Wait, there was this movie based on a Stephen King short, and it's got a gay lead. Called. Have you ever heard of a book called Mr. Yummy? Well, actually, it's called The Bazaar of Bad Dreams Story. So Stephen King has this book that he wrote called one of the short stories in it is called Mr. Yummy. And they said that that's in the works, where it's basically about a man confronting mortality, where death awaits around every corner and regret becomes the ghost that never leaves. And they said that the screenplay was penned by Troy Blake. Intrinsic, sorry, value Amy Schuff. Ice and Rock. Okay, there's a bunch of people I don't even know who they are. It doesn't matter. But they said it's the first short story to be adapted from his 2015 collection of Bizarre Bad Dreams, set in Lakeview Assisted Living Center. The story details the last days in the life of elderly homosexual Ali Franklin, who is certain that he will die soon due to frequent visits by a beautiful man called Mr. Yummy. And so that's adding on to all the other movies that they made. They have The Long Walk. We got The Running Man currently in theaters. We got Carrie coming out. We got a new version of The Stand coming out. The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. We got a movie called Rat, Autopsy Room 4, and a remake of Cujo, all coming from Stephen King. So I'm like, look, we got a horror movie centered on a homosexual in an elderly home. which might be relatively interesting. Now, who should we get to play him? I was like, I'm trying to think of every gay actor I could think of, but I'm like the closest one that sound like they would be perfect in assisted living that they could play that up. Ian McKellen. That's the first person that came to my head. Sir Ian McKellen could play that part. He's kind of right because a lot of Asian movies are mostly martial arts type of movies. Crazy Rich Asians was one of the first major Asian movies in years. Aren't they supposed to be doing a Crazy Rich Asians TV series for HBO Max or HBO? I could have sworn I heard that. So that's in the works. And yeah, they got John M. Chu, who's a director. That's not the same. That's a director, not an actor. Somebody did bring that up in the comments regarding what he had to say. I'm like, John M. Chu is a director. It's not the same. We're talking about people on the screen. And yeah, in Wicked, there was some Asian people in there. We had Bowen Yang and we had Michelle Yeoh. But that's not the point. The point is we want to see more Asian representation on our TVs and in theaters. There was also a show called Butterfly with oh my god, what the hell is his name? The Asian actor that was on Lost. Um he had a show, excuse me, on Prime called Butterfly. It wasn't a good show, which is why I heard it was canceled after one season. And we got Maggie Q. She's Asian. She's doing Ballard, which is actually a good show if y'all have not seen it. If y'all ever seen the Bosch shows, that's a spinoff of Bosch. That show is getting a season 2. So if you haven't seen that, if you have Prime Video, definitely check it out. But I've always loved me some Maggie Q. Ever since she did this martial arts action film, I forgot, I think it was called So Close. And then I started following her career over the years when she was in Live Free or Die Hard. Then she did Nikita and she did a bunch of other things. I should be talking because if they cast Lucas Gage as Midnight, I'd turn. Magical Mermaids in the building. Yes, we are. We definitely live. I saw your post about Cash Paytel earlier. Why he looked like Solomon. That's how he looked. Yeah, the movie's called Mr. Yummy. Can I say something I hate out of all the music fandoms, the Barb's is legit why Kayla says refuse to do a show, the internet. Yeah, because she says that she's scared of the Barb's and she don't want the smoke and all that stuff. And she has every right to be, I don't give a fuck. I fight. So if I'm gonna say something about somebody, I'm calling out everybody. I don't give a fuck who they are. And a bunch of people hiding behind a goddamn screen acting like they gonna whoop somebody's ass. I wanna see you try. So not modern day Grims. They are a cult. And there's some people that walked away from there was somebody generally like Milan Christopher, not that that means anything, because Milan Christopher is a Chitlin Circuit social media influencer. But um he was up in there talking about how he's removing himself from Nicki Minaj and Lily had queens up on there talking about some queen from like I think he's on the Zeus network one of them play who watches that shit. But anyway, he was up in there talking about he want to fight Milan over his comments over Nicki Minaj. I'm like, are you slow? Like, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all living gonna fight for a bitch that don't even know who the fuck y'all are? Okay. You want to go to jail for some chick that wouldn't spit on you if your ass was on fire? Okay. You go in and let have if it helps you sleep at night. Sounds like Simu Liu has to win an Oscar to be taken serious. We don't even know if that even is true because here's the thing. Didn't Lupita Nyong'o say in yesterday's clip that we was talking about that she did 12 Years a Slave, won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar, and they only wanted to offer her slave movies? So a person of color winning Oscars, that don't mean shit. White people get to win their Oscars and go off and the world is their oyster. They part they open up, the opportunities open up like the Red Sea being parted by Moses, and they get to live and have the careers that they want to have. But anybody that's an other, the typecasting comes in. They think that's all you can play. That's all you're good at. Once they win an Oscar, that's when roles come in. But actors these days want to be the genres, the type of films they grew up loving. And the way that studios have been back in the day, those days are done. So, um, like it was said, are there any movie stars? Movie stars are dead. They no longer exist. Anyway, I'm probably gonna have to do this later and post. Oh wait, hold on. Hold on a second, because there was something I was supposed to do. I don't know why that's even open. Where is that thing that I was gonna do next? Because yeah, I forgot to add that, but I'm like, I could do it while I'm here. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Okay. I got it. I got it. I got it. Look at me do everything in real time with Bill Maher. I hate that show. No, 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 no. I don't want to close that yet. I gotta wait. I was like, what happened? Okay, go ahead. I hope I didn't mess that up. Okay, we good. Once they get nominations, the roles come in. They're supposed to be, I mean, usually. Not you doing a duck. Okay, so now let's get back into the show. Y'all, and let's talk about the housemaid. So we just talked about how Shang-Chi's Simu Liu was sitting here saying, like, yeah, white people get to fail upwards. And, they continue to get gig after gig after gig after gig, even if nobody goes to see their movie. Like people like Glenn Powell most recently, and people like Sydney Sweeney. But the reality of the thing is, the big A-list celebrity or superstar doesn't even exist anymore. So, the way that we used to revere celebrities, like Will Smith was a star. Dwayne Johnson can't even open a movie anymore. Nobody cared about that Smash Machine movie that he did, even though he wants, people to take him serious as an actor. I feel like he waited too little too late to try to prove to us that he's, a thespian all of a sudden. But and then like I was saying, Sydney Sweeney, Glenn Powell, so many others. Tom Cruise couldn't even get enough of y'all to come watch the last Mission Impossible movie, which finally got a release date on Paramount Plus in December. So it's finally coming out. But nevertheless, Sydney Sweeney has a new movie coming out, and according to the reports, the tides may be changing. She might have her first theatrical hit on her hands. So Sydney Sweeney really needs a hit right now, and coming off the Christie debacle, she must be thanking her lucky stars that she already has another film lined up in December. Early tracking suggests it might be a mid-budget success. Paul Feig's Housemaid stars Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried in a pulpy, trashy thriller. Sounds right up my alley. That has started to screen slowly for critics ahead of its December 19th release. Eternally, the word on the curb is that a couple of critics have seen it and said the movie's a lot of fun. Who knows? Maybe after this, the reviews might turn out positive for this one, unlike all her other stuff, where Christie was mixed. People didn't particularly care for Americana. I don't think critics care for it. Nobody went to go see that movie either. So, of course, the first reactions that have popped up about the housemaid shouldn't be taken too seriously, but clearly Lionsgate has confidence in this project, and they've allowed the social media embargo to break almost a month before the film's release. More good news for Sweeney. Internal tracking for the housemaid is actually very promising. The budget is reportedly to be only $35 million, and it's currently projected to earn $30 million domestically on opening weekend. Well, if that does happen, they've already made, well, I would say they've only got like what, $5 million left to recoup that budget back. And then, of course, the marketing, how much they decide to spend on that. I'm thinking they probably spent, I mean, if that's a movie that small where it's $35 million, I'm thinking the marketing behind that should be like 10 million, I would think. But these people in these studios like to overspend for some godforsaken reason. Now, then they said that the film is based on, because I've never heard of The Housemaid. I've heard of what's that show with that's on with the Scientologist that just had its final season? The Handmaid's Tale. But I never heard of The Housemaid. Now, they said the film is based on an ultra popular book referred to as a monster hit written by author Frida McFadden, and the 30 million number starts to make sense. The book, which has been translated in 40 languages, gained a huge traction on social media, especially on TikTok, which they actually call Book Talk when it comes to the books, and has so far sold 4.5 million copies. Now, here's the thing. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, yeah, Sydney Sweeney can actually open a movie. I don't think that's what the case is. The fact of the matter is like y'all trying to say Blake Lively could open a damn movie. No, that movie she did with Justin Baldoni, the reason why it was successful is because people liked the book and they wanted to see what they was going to do with the movie, which quiet as it's kept, people didn't even like the damn movie because there was a lot of drastic changes made with that. And coming later on to find out that, yeah, a lot of the changes happened because Blake was coming in strong arming Justin Baldoni with wanting certain things to be done with the material. That's all gonna play out in court. We ain't gonna make it about her right now, but I do feel like the thing with Sydney Sweeney, the only reason why this book is gonna be, oh, this movie successful is because of the book. So that's what Hollywood has to realize right now. Yeah, A-list superstars, they don't exist. Those days when we used to revere big A-list movie stars like a Matthew McConaughey or a Jennifer Lopez or Will Smith or Tom Cruise or Charlize Theron or a so many of these other celebrities or Denzel Washington, those days is done. We don't go to see movies for celebrities anymore. People want authentic, real material. So if something is based on a book, something's based on a comic book, something's based on a video game, something's based on anything that's a pre-existing IP that they grew up with or they became aware of or they read it or whatever the case is, that's what's going to get butts in seats, not something based off of some female boxer that ain't nobody ever heard of. Name one damn movie that we've seen that featured a female boxer that was a big hit. I think there's one. That movie that Clint Eastwood directed, that oh my god, what's her name? The actress that was in Karate Kid Part 3. Look, I took it back. Hilary Swank. That was the only movie that I could tell you that was like based on a female boxer that did well. Wait a minute. I think also didn't Girl Fight with Michelle Rodriguez, her breakout role? Wasn't that a hit too? It was an independent film. Million Dollar Baby. Thank you. So that I think is like the only big female centric boxer movie that was successful. Don't nobody know who this Christie lady is, unless you're a person of a certain age. And even then, y'all didn't even care to go see it. So they also said that the trailer plays as salacious and kitschy, entirely watchable, and carries a simple favor vibe. Unsurprising given that Feig also directed that film. Now, yeah, they said there's a lot of titillating sex scenes, which work less as narrative choices and more as a way of stripping the story of its Lifetime movie sheen. Because, yeah, when you see a lot of this stuff, it does give Lifetime movie of the week tease. Like, if you even think about Hannah Ross the Cradle, the original and that horrible remake, they definitely play into that Lifetime movie of the week tease. But we all love the original Hannah Ross the Cradle with Rebecca De Mornay and Annabella Sciorra because it had all the crazy, wonky things going for it. And it was 90s when that movie came out. So it's quintessential 90s. Now, why would we be surprised that Big Titty behind Sydney Sweeney would be in a movie revolving sex? I mean, you got to play that up. That's her bread and butter. That's the only reason why people want to see her in a film. So, yeah, they said there's a lot of titillating sex scenes, and the film gets graphic, topless shots, rear nudity, and by the finale, a turn into bloody, brutal violence. So, like I said, it's trashy, it's sleazy, it's totally up my alley. I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. So, it tracks the book almost verbatim. The husband is painted as an abusive, manipulative figure, while Seyfried plays herself increasingly unhinged, strategically positioning Sweeney as the innocent. The goal is to drive him towards a divorce, which would finally free her character from the cycle of abuse. And look, I like Paul Feig's movies. He did Bridesmaids. I like that film. I ain't like The Heat all that much. A Simple Favor. I don't like Spy all that much either. I thought it was okay. Um, he also directed films called like Last Christmas, The School for Good and Evil, Jackpot, and Another Simple Favor. Which those last four I mentioned were like critically panned. So, and he also did Ghostbusters, the first reboot. So, Paul Feig is a well-known name. He's had a lot more misses than hits, quiet as it's kept. But maybe this film will be based off of what I'm reading, good, sleazy fun at the movies. I'm actually looking forward to it. Look, I love trash TV. This is right up my alley. Or trashy films. Yeah, look, y'all be thinking I be lying when I tell y'all one of my all-time favorite movies is Showgirls. I do love that movie. It's camp at its finest. Now, some of the critics said this. Wendy Lee Zaney said, wow, the Housemaid movie is insane, full of... Wait, hold on. Let me actually Do y'all want better? Let's go through it. Let's go through it as a class. I was like, why you not coming up? Okay, so just so y'all could, do you see what I see? He said, wow, the Housemaid movie is insane, full of suspense and jaw-dropping twists. I went in blind, having read the book, and was on the edge of my seat the entire movie. The movie is unhinged in the best way possible. Both Sweeney and Seyfried are spectacular in this. Go see this. Then Tessa Smith said, the Housemaid is a wild, trippy, insane ride, an extremely faithful adaptation of the book, but with quite a few little additions for those of us that know. I screamed, I cheered, I freaked out. Amanda and Sydney and Brandon are incredible together. Wait, Brandon who? Who's playing the husband? Is it Brandon Sklenar? I'm like, child, now if it's him, I'll definitely be showing up to the theater for that. Now they Jonathan Sims said, hashtag the housemaid movie will leave you speechless. A shocking, twisted thriller. Sydney Sweeney, Amanda's it is Brandon Sklenar. Okay, now I'm definitely in. I told you, I was like, when I said, it was like, Brandon, who's Brandon? And you talking about Brandon Sklenar? Now, you know I love me some Brandon Sklenar. I love him on that Taylor Sheridan show. I definitely loved him in Drop. And now seeing him in this film, oh, bitch, trust and believe, I'm getting my ticket for this. A shocking, twisted thriller. They said a camping thriller that morphs into something dark and riveting with edge of your seat tension. It will blow you away. And Brandon Sklenar, if he has not made the new Batman and Brave and the Bold, I'm riding. Um, Wait, did she come in here again? Oh no, that's seemed like this. Somebody posted that same thing twice because I taking it off another situation. Let's see anymore. Yeah, it seemed like it's y'all repeating yourselves. The housemaid, cutthroat and surprising in the best way possible. Sweeney and Cypher put on an incredible showing with this thrilling, if can be, film about manipulation and empowerment. A narrative is also consistently compelling with every turn. Scott Menzel, who's well known in the industry, the housemaid is wild. The first half leans into camp in the best possible way. It is playful, stylish, and an absolute blast before the film takes a sharp, gripping turn that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Amanda Seyfried and Sydney Sweeney are phenomenal as two women carrying more secrets than they let on, and watching them interact uh, only adds to the fun. It also has Paul Feig's energy, or Feig, if you're a fan of his films, like A Simple Favor, I think you will totally dig this one. I will say that it definitely has some promising young woman vibes, which is the reason why I was so into it. It is absolutely a movie you want to see with a crowd as well. So, like I said, now this is not a way to. If my reactions on this isn't going to get you to go see this movie, I don't know what to tell you. You are soulless. You are dark sided, and I'm gonna pray for you. No, I'm just kidding. If you don't want to see it, that's fine. But I'm definitely going to see this mess. So, because it sounds like more of the stuff that Sydney need to be portraying instead of trying to act like she a legitimate actress. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Does this actually got you wanting to check this movie out? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. All right, so now let's see what the people are saying in the comments. Unfortunately, social media is considered a major barometer for relevancy, but that's often a false, my Madonna Bedtime Stories Deluxe CD shipped, but as usual, my postcards are going to be shipped on a later date. They didn't expect Bedtime Stories to get a lot of luck. I don't know why they, child, what is wrong with people? How do y'all not know that? Why do y'all only think that nobody cares about bedtime stories? How many times have I said on this show? Bedtime Stories was the first Madonna CD that I was able to buy with my own money. It was because I started working when I was like 14. That's when I literally started working. I was doing like summer youth and all types of stuff like that. So um I was able to afford to be able to buy things. And at that age in the 90s, $200, that was a lot for somebody my age to be walking around with. So um I would go and buy all kinds of CDs and all kinds of other crazy. I used to live in the record stores, Target. I mean, not Target, Tower Records and Virgin Megastore, and I would do like the mom and pop shops every now and again. If it was hard to find stuff, there was like this one mom and pop shop I used to go to on West 8th Street. I used to live for West 8th Street. West 8th Street in the West Village used to have all the good spots. They had Patricia Field. They had a lot of really cool stores around there. But of course, gentrification and all this stuff kicked in, and we lost all those things. But I don't understand why people think that people only care about Ray of Light and Confessions. Like y'all act like those are the only two albums she's done. The woman has done 14 records, coming out with number 15, and they be acting like Ray of Light and Confessions like the most revered records in the Madonna catalog. Blake Lively is the perfect example of how one's dynamic relevancy can backfire. Yeah, and she's thinking all these little things that she's coming out with all this money they wasting, all these little videos. Shout out to Popcorn Planet. If y'all want to really keep up with what's going on with this Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni situation, Popcorn Planet be definitely keeping me up to date. Because Blake is coming after him. But he's still going in on, the stories regarding her. And he brings on lawyers and everything. Sweeney may have a brand when it comes to streaming, which is an easy click and play, but ticket sales, exactly. And that's why I said like movie stars don't exist anymore. So I think what now is the new movie star is the intellectual property. That's the new movie star. So if it's not based on a book, if it's not based on a movie, if it's not based on a comic book, if it's not based on a video game, people are not spending the money to go see it. Somehow it seems outside music, the celebrity culture doesn't exist. Yeah, it's like you're allowed to be the anonymous, get the big superstar type, have that mystique to you as a musician, as a pop star, but not as an actor. The movie star is pretty much dead. People want something fresh and refined. That's why when something hits, it hits big. I grew up with the original hand around script. Oh, well, I do love that movie. He was in the Sabrina the Teenage Witch? Oh, you said Sabrina High School Principal. I totally forgot about that. Paul did A Simple Favor, which was technically a hit. There's a lot of people that love that record. I was watching this reaction video, and somebody actually thought, damn, I forgot the name of it, that an old Madonna song was like a cover. I'm like, no, that is her song. I had to laugh over that. I wish I remember what the name of the song was. All right, y'all. So now let's get back into the show. And let's talk about Fast X. And now, when I heard about this story, I was like, the juice. And of course, it got to do with Vin Diesel being messy and his damn sister, which comes as no surprise with this whole situation, especially them allegations about him allegedly SAing some assistant and then the sister trying to cover it up. So let's get into the story. So I'm sure y'all remember hearing like back around when Fast X was being made that Justin Lin dropped out of filming the film a week into production. And so he was like, okay, I'm out of this bitch. I quit. It's just stuff going on. Immediately, if you really think about like how this industry works and stuff, or any sane human being, y'all would think, okay, there's drama brewing behind the scenes. Why else would a director who's directed many of the Fast and Furious movies all of a sudden abruptly walk away from directing the last film in the franchise? And then, well, so far, because we're supposed to get the part two situation. I don't know when that's happening. We got Vin that loves to gaslight us on social media with updates, but we haven't heard anything. We haven't gotten a specific release date. I mean, we already know when they're going to actually start filming the Batman Part 2. That T came out today that in the beginning, according to the production news stuff, beginning of January. But we still don't know when y'all going to make a Fast X. And when did the last one come out? Like 4 years ago? So what's taking y'all so long? But so he walked away, and then they brought in Louis Leterrier, who did, I believe, he's in a couple of movies, but the one I could think of on the top of my head that he did was the Jason Statham movie, The Transporter. I think he only did the first one. I can't remember if he did all the other sequels. But Louis Leterrier, he's done a lot of action films or whatever, and I guess he kind of fit in that mold of the over the top action type stuff that they do in that he's done. So they picked him to be in the film, and I guess he was just a hired gun at that point. So filmmaker Justin Lin helmed the Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, F9, and was on board to direct both Fast X and the eventual 11th and final installment of the franchise, which, as I say all it is, still hasn't materialized. However, Lin was replaced as directed by Louis Leterrier following reported creative differences, as they always say. But those of us who got eyes and got some common sense, was like, okay, creative differences. That means some shit was going on behind the scenes and we don't know what's going on. But there's a new book that's coming out called Welcome to the Family. Perfect title, by the way, by author Barry Hertz, which is spilling the tea on what may have led to Lynn's departure, revealing that he walked away from Fast X after clashing with actor Vin Diesel. Well, color me shocked did that this would be the reason why people want to walk away from the show because, once again, Mark Vincent being difficult. Now, according to several high level sources in the production, allegedly, I should say, Lynn had hit his breaking point over the steadily increasing creative tensions with Diesel, as well as difficulties with the star's sister slash producer, Samantha Vincent, who often acted as Diesel's emissary. Reveals an excerpt shared by IndieWire, via ActionNews.com. A key source of discord centered around the script and its ending. They said while a cliffhanger was always part of the Fast X plan, several drafts of the screenplay also hinge on a jaw-dropping twist in which Dante, played by Jason Momoa, is revealed to be the true father of little Brian. So little Brian was actually Dom Toretto's kid with Elsa Pataki, the cop that was in Fast Five, and she's appeared in the other films, and they killed her off. That's Chris Hemsworth's wife in real life. But they killed her off. He wound up taking care of the kid. Him and Michelle Rodriguez, Letty, they ended up raising the boy, and they were trying to say the twist is she was pregnant by Dante, who was the villain in Fast Five's son. Which I'm like, when did she get pregnant by him? And how are y'all gonna work that in? So I don't. But here's the thing with Fast and the Furious, they always like to teeter on soap opera territory with a lot of things, and they'll start putting things in the movie that I'm like, that don't make no. Like, when did this happen? Or people that are supposed to be dead are actually have been revived. Like they killed off Michelle Rodriguez, brought her back. They killed off Han, brought him back. They killed off Gal Gadot, brought her back in the last one. So people don't die in this franchise, apparently. So Universal Pictures, but also they said some members of the film's team felt that the late game turn was the perfect, if deeply dark, way for Dom to reckon with the concept he held most dear, family. Others, including Diesel, felt differently. Well, yeah, now y'all would have kind of went into soap opera territory. It was like, they said it's your child, and now it's not. And now we're doing like this whole twist that kind of feels very Maury Povich. Like, no. So Universal Pictures reportedly wasn't sold on Lynn's idea for the final action set piece, a sequence described as over the top and featuring Dante using a giant excavator-like machine to wreak havoc. Now, Alexander Witt, an veteran second unit director and cinematographer, explained it was really the ending that needed work. It's difficult to describe, but the machine eats things. The bad guy goes down, gets into this machine, comes out and starts eating cars. It's like a Transformers movie. It was totally out of context with the movie, I thought. I thought it was a little too Marvel. And the problem was it would have all been CG. Although we ended up with all CG in the end, from the moment that Dom jumps over the dam in the final film, it's all CG. Now hold on. So we can go into space. We can go and take the car, hook it to a magnet, and swing across a freaking cliff, and you can and Dom could jump out of, well, when Letty is actually flipped off of a tank and is about to lose her life, and Dom could jump from his car and catch her and fall on his back and then not break. But a machine that eats cars and stuff, that's over the top. That's where y'all draw the damn line with over the topness in this franchise. Okay. I was like, what planet are we on? Yo, y'all be blowing my mind with this. Like, the level of just head scratching stuff that's in this franchise has me cackling. But anyway, let's get into the rest of what they said. So, Screen Rant, meanwhile, has shared a few additional details from Welcome to the Family, including scrap plans for Peacock exclusive TV shows revolving around the characters like Roman and Tej, a young Dom, and Han. That he said the idea had been to bulk up the catalog for the platform as it struggled to survive the raging streaming wars, with the Young Dom series following Diesel's character before the events of the first movie. Vinnie Bennett, who played Dom in F9's flashbacks, was eyed to star. As noted, we should say that the film does not have a release date yet. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is supposed to come back as Luke Hobbs. It seemed like he and Diesel squashed they beat. Remember when they was at, what was it, the Golden Globes or the People's Choice, one of them damn awards. They were like, hey, Dwayne. And, said that in the audience and everybody started laughing awkwardly. And I think that was last year when they did that. And so it seemed like they did that. And then Vin went on his Instagram. He's on 104 million followers yesterday, where he basically shared a picture where, let me pull that up for y'all. He shared a picture of him doing a script read with Dwayne in bed because remember in one of the Fast and Furious movies he gets injured and he's kind of like out of commission for the duration of the movie. So, and then he writes basically this whole story about the Smashing Machine and how he knew uh the was it Mark Kerr and how they became friends, and basically talks about Dwayne's performance in the movie and stuff. So yeah, if y'all want to read it, y'all can pretty much go over to his Instagram and read that. But for the most part, with this whole situation, I like the Fast and the Furious movies. I like Fast Four because Fast Four is when they finally started to kind of get the juices going with this franchise. Fast Five was like one of my favorites out of it. Then it was like Fast Six, love that one too. Fast Seven was okay. Then it was like I think that was the movie where we lost Brian. It's not his name though. Paul Walker. We lost him, and then it was Fate of the Furious, which I thought was all right. Nine was bad, and then Nine wasn't a good movie, and then Fast X was god awful. I have not watched that movie since um I saw it in the theater. And I'm looking forward to because I've been so invested with this franchise. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this whole franchise ends. So I'm kind of excited to see where they go with this. But this whole situation is kind of like, what, Vin Diesel, you don't have the best track record when it comes to your ideas working for a franchise and the franchise being a box office success. You did Babylon AD, that movie was trash. You did that last Witch Hunter movie, which was god awful. And now we got for some godforsaken reason, we got a sequel coming. I love Pitch Black. Chronicles of Riddick. It was like, why did we go from the whole low budget grittiness of Pitch Black, and then all of a sudden you want to do this sci-fi action adventure that was kind of teetering on Star Wars s vibes? I didn't kind of like that direct or Dungeons and Dragons in that way. I didn't kind of like what you did with that, and then you came out with what was it called? Riddick. That was all right. You tried to go back to form, but I think it was too late. And don't even get me started on them Triple X movies. So you've been trying so hard to kind of teeter this career into what you wanted to be as an action movie star, and you kind of always pissed on the franchises that actually gave you success, like Fast and the Furious, and when all them other things wasn't working, then you want to come back to the franchise. And yeah, y'all, we like the over the topness of the action, but then it started getting borderline ridiculous once we got to the I would say once we got to nine, that's when it's really. I'm like, okay, now we getting ridiculous. Now we going into space with a car with some duct tape on it, really? And and to be honest, nobody wants a. In regards to these spinoffs, nobody wants a Roman and Tej movie. Roman and Tej is actually, if y'all don't know, Roman is no Tej is Ludacris's character on the show in the film, and Roman is Tyrese. Now we know you're probably gonna have to go with younger people because they're both men of a certain age. They're 40 something. And Roman was always annoying to me. So no, I don't think we want a Roman and Tej spinoff. Nobody's gonna watch that. It won't even last a season. A young Dom movie, I don't think anybody cares. I mean, if you want to do movies that's spinning off from like his son and make him older, like age him up like y'all doing Sidney Prescott daughter, where you age him up and then he's kind of doing like taking over the mantle what his father was doing. And then if y'all actually steer it in the right direction, it's like, oh well, now he caught up in some criminal stuff. Or maybe what y'all could do is kill off Dom, right? As a way to spin off the series. The son seeks revenge. He goes to jail. The corporation, whatever, the CIA, whatever, takes him out and be like, you know what, your skills is too damn good. you and your team, we want to use y'all to kind of like bring down the bad guys. If that's kind of like a turn that y'all can go in and do that, I think that'd be a fun franchise to watch. Because I thought that's what y'all was going to do with the Fast and the Furious, and then it's like y'all was having an identity crisis. I don't think y'all knew what y'all wanted to do with this franchise. But a Han series, first of all, Sun Kang is one of the best characters that y'all created for that franchise. So I definitely feel like Han deserves his own spinoff. So that'd be the only one I'd be willing to watch. But anyway, we're saying all that. I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this tea that was spilled from about the behind the scenes shenanigans of why Justin Lin walked away from the franchise? Neither one has spoken about. Vin hasn't said anything. Uh, Justin hasn't said anything. So this is coming from a book. I don't know if it's authorized or unauthorized. We just know the book is out there and they spilling behind the scenes stuff. But then again, based off of Vin's reputation and certain things we've heard about, the way he moves and stuff, I wouldn't put nothing past that any of this is most likely true. So I would love to hear from your overall thoughts. So drop those thoughts down in the comments down below. He said that's where they draw the line. It's called a car shredder. That's what I said. Like, y'all had a giant enormous ball rolling down the streets of Rome, and it was like a bomb or whatever, and you had cars kind of like bopping it so it wouldn't kill the people and move and maneuvering it. So, and I'm like, okay, so we could do that scene, and you can have a car go into space, but a car a machine eating a bunch of cars is where y'all draw the line, really? Unless it was too expensive to do. But then again, y'all be spending an OD amount of money on these movies. So I don't put nothing past none of y'all with that. That's why I had to laugh. It's about, like the whole franchise is over the top. But that's where y'all draw the line. All right, y'all. So now let's get back into the rest of the show. So let's talk about Jimmy C, aka James Cameron, who basically is calling out Netflix. And saying that, yeah, if Netflix is not willing to do what the rest of us have to do to get our movies nominated for Oscars, then they should not be considered to be able to be in the running to get their movies nominated for an Oscar. So James Cameron is not known for his bedside manner, and after years of telling Christopher Nolan, Marvel movies, and Roland Emmerich exactly what he thinks of them, he's turned his critical eye to Netflix. Now, in a new interview with the town's Matt Baloney via World of Real, Cameron offered some words of encouragement toward Netflix's theatrical strategy. It's rotten to the core, and the movies they produce shouldn't be allowed within 10 feet of an Oscar statuette unless they get a release in 2,000 theaters for a month. Yeesh. Jim, tell us how you really feel. Now, the topic arose as Baloney asked Cameron about reports of Netflix and Paramount's recent bids to buy Warner Brothers. Cameron gave his recommendations to Paramount because Netflix will be a disaster. Well, child, if Paramount gets it, it'll be even more of a disaster. And if you've heard my many gripes about why I don't want Paramount to get it, you already heard me say it enough. I don't need to repeat it. Why I do not want Paramount to get their hands on Warner Brothers, especially when they just acquired well, Skydance, I should say, just acquired Paramount. So focus on that and try to get y'all IPs over there, people excited into your intellectual property before you try to run and take over another damn studio. So here's the thing. I agree with him because look, Ted Sarandos, who is the CEO over there at Netflix, has gone on the record saying that theatrical films are dead. That is literally what he said. He said theatrical's dead. So he has no respect for the old guard of the studio machine of you put your movie out in theaters. Before it used to be like 3 months it would stay in theaters. Now it's 48 or what is it, 40 to 46 days or whatever. Excuse me, before it ends up on stream, which I still think is relatively short. And I understand that was because of COVID. But since then, I think that people got so used to waiting for movies to come out in like a month on digital that it's like they don't want to go to the movies. The movies is too expensive. especially if it's you and you got a family. And then not only the movies are expensive, the concessions are expensive. And then also the studios, I don't, well, not the studios, the theaters are not making it in a way that would make people want to come to the theater and watch a movie. So they're not willing to pay that kind of money and deal with all of that. Me, as somebody who goes to the movies, I have a list. So with $27 a month, I can see as many movies as I want to see, and it's paid up under that situation, depending on the thing though. Because some, like I told y'all before, I want to see Depeche Mode's concert in IMAX, and they wanted to charge me the regular $27 fee for IMAX. I was like, oh hell no! I'm gonna just wait for that to end up on digital or something. I'll just buy it and watch it that way. I'd rather pay the $20 to own it than me paying $30 to just sit in a big old theater watching it on an IMAX screen. So yeah, Ted Sarandos did say that the movie, theatrical films are dead. But here's the thing: if that's the case, then why are you putting Narnia in IMAX for like 2 weeks before it hits Netflix? Why did you just release Frankenstein in theaters before it was just released on Netflix? Why after the success of K-pop Demon Hunters that you decided to release a sing-along version in theaters so you can get some so you can capitalize and make money? So if theatrical is dead, then why is it where there's exceptions to the rule? My thing is this: I agree with James Cameron. You can't sit up in here and be like, oh well, I just want my movies. I just want to pick and choose because I'll play the game sorta, so that way I can get my stuff nominated for an Oscar. But theatrical's dead. But if that's the case, then why are you trying to be a part of the elite? Then you're supposed to be the rebel, be rebellious. But now you're trying to make it bend to your will. And I like the fact that we have James Cameron calling him out on this. But I guess when you have well, is it $2 billion movies? Wait, no, he's done $3 billion movies. He has $2 billion movies with Avatar and the second one, probably gonna be the third, and then in Titanic. I think isn't that $1 billion movie too? So here's the man who has had $3 billion movies under his belt. He can say what the fuck he want. Nobody's gonna tell him to shut up. So anyway, he went on to say, because he also said this. Remember, he said he was promising theaters that if he gets Warner Brothers, that he will release it in theaters. And I said I didn't believe it. I said I called cap on it. And funny enough, Cameron said the same thing. He said it's sucker bait. We'll put the movie out for a week or 10 days. We'll qualify for Oscar consideration. See, I think that's fundamentally rotten to the core. A movie should be made as a movie for theatrical, and the Academy Awards mean nothing to me if they don't mean theatrical. I mean, they've been co-opted, and I think it's horrific. Now, Cameron is obviously not a fan of Netflix's minimal theatrical releases for its latest host of Oscar contenders, like Frankenstein, Jake Kelly, and House of Dynamite, which were given 2-week limited runs in a handful of theaters. Yeah, because I remember I wanted to see Frankenstein in theaters, could not find a theater that was showing it. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just wait for it to come out on Netflix. And did, and watched it, and liked it. He's not the first to criticize the strategy either, since the streamer only um instituted it so its movies would be eligible for awards. And well, stars and filmmakers want their films in theaters. In 2019, Steven Spielberg lobbed the same criticism at Netflix, saying, "Once you commit to a television format, you're a TV movie. You certainly, if it's a good show, deserve an Emmy, but not an Oscar. I don't believe films that are just given token qualifications in a couple of theaters for less than a week should qualify for the Academy Award nomination." And maybe the reason why the Oscars is cucking to this because they want to seem hip and cool. They want to seem like, oh yeah, we're with what the current generation is for. So we're trying to get that younger audience. But no, I feel like if you're gonna try to come in and be like this new fresh thing, you got to follow the rules of the way things are. And if you say theatrical is dead, then you should not be putting any of your shit in theaters. It all just needs you need to just follow all the way through 110% and just release your stuff, sorry, on Netflix. Because that's the hub that you want people to go and watch your stuff while you release it in the theater. Because you know that you're not gonna get an Oscar. People gonna look at that at Frankenstein, and the only thing it'll be good for is a primetime Emmy. But you want the big award, and they have yet to win one. So maybe that's the thing too, is that the industry is like, oh, we don't see it for these Netflix movies, so we're gonna have y'all, we're gonna entertain the bullshit. But at the end of the day, you're not getting the Oscar because y'all not willing to follow the theatrical rules. We'll let you think that you're gonna get one, but we're not gonna give you the big one. So I say all this to say, when you guys think of this story, do you agree with James Cameron what he had to say about that the idea behind Netflix needs to learn, like, if you want your stuff to be taken seriously, you want your stuff to be released in theaters, that you need to put it on 2,000 screens, and it needs to follow the general format of a theatrical release and not just getting a week or two in some damn theaters, in limited theaters, actually, because you got to go to West Bubba to find out where the hell the movie's playing. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Netflix doesn't decide the Oscar eligibility criteria. I mean, he could be a hater, but it's the Academy that decides all of this. But he's saying that, look, if y'all need to put y'all something, look, and I need, and quiet as it's kept, I need James Cameron to make something else besides a goddamn Avatar movie. Like, I know this is a passion project for him, but I don't care about them damn Avatar movies. Cameron has a lot of number one films of the year too. Terminator 2 was number one in 1990. Yeah, a lot of, like, he's one of the most iconic filmmakers. He's like one of my favorite filmmakers. Like yesterday when I was talking about James, I said, yeah, see, like CC said, I got a hard on for Cameron. I love Terminator. I like Terminator 2. I like Aliens. I love Alita Battle Angel. I love True Lies. What other movies he did? I don't like any. Oh, I like Titanic. I went to the movies to see that. And but I don't like any of the avatars. Those are the only ones I don't like. But most of the movies that majority of the movies I can think of on the top of my head that he has done, I think he also did The Abyss, but I never saw that. Um I like a lot of James Cameron's like one of my favorite directors, similar to John Carpenter. I love a lot of John Carpenter stuff. I love Escape from New York. I love Halloween. I like Big Trouble in Little China. I love The Fog. The Thing, one of my favorites. They Live. Absolutely love that freaking movie. What's another? The Assault on Precinct 13. Love that movie too. So it's like he's one of my favorite directors. I did a whole thesis on him in college, film school actually, to be exact. Cameron has four number one. Oh, you're saying four number one years. Oh, I think you meant four number one films. But I was talking about $1 billion movies. It's like he has the two avatars and Titanic was $1 billion grossing movie. I'm a god. I'm literally having a flashback right now on how major and iconic that movie was at the time that it was released. That freaking my heart will go on. So I love Celine, but I was tired of hearing that song at a certain point. I'm looking forward to, well, it'd be interesting to see how, all that turns out. But I don't like 3D, but I'll still check it out if they release a 2D version. All right, y'all. So now let's get into some more Netflix news. And let's talk about Star Search. So Netflix has picked up Star Search, singing competition. Before there was American Idol, before there was The Voice, there was Star Search, and many of talents went on that show. We'll get into all the talents and stuff that went on later, but for the most part, anybody who was a big major celebrity of today went on Star Search, and a lot of your faves was on there, and that was like the show you went on to show off your talent. And so now comes word that the show, which is set to premiere, I believe, in January, Anthony Anderson is hosting it. And if you see the picture on the right, you already know that's Britney Spears. She started out going on Star Search. So Netflix's upcoming reboot of Star Search has named Anthony Anderson as its new host, according, shout out to Variety for this story. The new iteration of the talent competition series will premiere on the streamer on my sister's birthday, January 13th, 2026, with episodes airing live Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. First of all, let me find out y'all trying to go to American Idol route. I actually like this idea that look at Netflix live streaming a singing competition series. I mean, they did the same thing when they did the WWE SmackDown that they just had, where it was John Cena's final hurrah, which I worked the show, so I ain't had to watch it. I was there. So, and shout out to John Cena. He looked good in person. It's a ginormous man too. But anyway, to get back into the story, now they said, as they said, yeah. So 2 days, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Episodes will include real-time voting for viewers to help pick which contestants advance in the competition. Netflix has also released a trailer for a teaser for the series, which didn't really show anything. It just showed like a collage of everybody who has been on Star Search back in the day. That's all it was. And then they show like Britney Spears as a kid and all that stuff. Now, I should point out, is like, I'm not mad about Anthony Anderson being a part of this because he has done hosting gigs in the past. He guest hosted shows like Jimmy Kimmel Live, Entertainment Tonight, and The Late Late Show, as well as leading award shows like where he has hosted award shows like the Emmys in 2024, the NAACP Image Awards for nearly a decade, and his own Food Network show Eating America with Anthony Anderson. That's one of my other dreams that I would love to have too. When I get big enough, I want somebody to offer me like a cooking show where I travel the world and just try different foods. I would love to do that. I'm gonna also have me a trainer on standby too. Because I'm like, me eating all this food, I gotta maintain the weight. So we eat it, I dissolve it, I have my itis moment, and then when I'm up and well rested, let's get in the gym. So now as an actor, he's known for starring in the hit ABC sitcom, as y'all know, Blackish, which received Emmy nominations, 7 Emmy nominations, 2 Golden Globe nominations for Best Actor in a Comedy Series. His film roles, he was in Barbershop franchise, which they just made an announcement yesterday. There is a Barbershop TV series coming, and they already started to round out the cast. He was also in Hustle and Flow, and how I love to say it, The Departed, because, Boston. Now, the official long line for Star Search states the talent is bigger, the stakes are higher, and the format is more interactive than ever. Each episode will spotlight the best up and coming performers across numerous categories: music, dance, variety, comedy, magic, and juniors, which kind of like the original show did. They did, dance, music. Well, I think it was more or less, if I'm not mistaken. Wait, did they do dancing? They did singing, I remember. They also had comedians on there because Dave Chappelle was on there, Rosie O'Donnell, a bunch of them was on there. So, and they also said with an arced competition structure and weekly eliminations with real time global voting, the series builds dramatic momentum, making every live episode an unmissable event. Now, Jason Raff and David Freeman are show running the show. Jesse Collins Entertainment is producing. A bunch of people in here is like, okay, y'all don't know who they are. But I should point this out. Back in from 83 to 95, the show existed with Ed McMahon. He was the host. And then he also was later joined by Martha Quinn on the show back in the day. And people who appeared on the show that y'all may know, I don't know, you may know a couple of these people. I mean, I don't think they're that big. They're not that big of an A-list. But let's go along and see if y'all may recognize some of these names. People like Beyonce, people like Usher, people like Justin Timberlake, people like Dave Chappelle, people like Adam Sandler, people like Britney Spears, people like Alanis Morissette, people like Christina Aguilera, people like Billy Porter, people like Rosie O'Donnell, people like the late Aaliyah, and there were so many others that were a part of this whole situation. So yes, anybody who was anybody graced the stage over there at Star Search. So I don't know if they'll be able to hit lightning in a bottle again like they did back in the day. Because remember, they also tried reviving Star Search back in 2003, but it only lasted one season. And I don't know if that had to do with because we already had things like American Idol and stuff like that, that when you were trying to bring back the OG of competition shows, people just didn't care. But who knows? Maybe these days they kind of do care. But there's so many other competition shows that we got coming out and things of that nature. Like, isn't Simon Cowell also trying to create a whole new group competition singing show, whatever the case is? But I guess when that show with Kelly Rowland and the show Nicole Scherzinger and the late Liam Payne, I think that show did relatively well. So maybe now Netflix is looking to bring back Star Trek. I mean, it's a pre-existing IP. It brings that nostalgia. People like the old show, and we'll see if based on when the show airs, if people care. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Are you looking forward to seeing a revival of Star Search? Are you here for it? Do you feel like, no, that was like back in the day, nobody cares? Or, there's people who have that sense of nostalgia that they want to see something that they loved and they grew up with coming back, and they want to see what fresh and new kind of ideas they could bring up with it. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. So Britney Spears doing the way she sang was much stronger. Yeah, but then first of all, Britney Spears could sing, especially during the first era of her, whatever. And then the way she sang on Star Search, she had a good voice. The problem was, I don't know if they learned how to properly train her. And then when she came in and she started doing that baby voice, especially "Oh baby, babe," like when she started doing all that, they wanted her to sing like that all the time, and you don't realize that puts damage on your vocal cords. And then yeah, it sounds good in the studio, but it's like, you got to sing like that every night. It's kind of like we was talking about with Kim Petras, where she was like, "Oh, I would write my songs in a certain key or whatever the case was," and I realized, "Oh, I'm damaging my voice, and I got to sing it like this every night." It's like, yeah, that's why you have to train your voices, and also you have to realize that the way you sing it in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, you got to evolve with that because you can't sing in the same key all the time. Why you think Alicia Keys sound as messy as she does now? Still trying to hit them notes, and she can't hit the peaks and the valleys. Yeah, she wasn't on Star. Remember when she was Girls Time was on there too? He said Star Search was a popular talent competition television show that aired from. Sinbad was on there too. Child, you give me a synopsis. Yeah. hmm Yes, Tracy Spencer was on there as well. Leanne Rhymes, yeah, she was on there. So anybody who was anybody appeared on that show and went on to have pretty big careers. All right, y'all. So now let's get back into the show. Let's get into some mess. Let's talk about Sherri Shepherd, because apparently, if you believe the stories, things are about to get super ugly between Sherri Shepherd and her former good Judy, John Murray, who for some reason they said left the show. He just quit the show, but then they said he was fired because it was some behind the scenes shenanigans that was going on, and we've covered this story before. So now, according to Rob Shooter over at Shooter Scoop, he's revealing that daytime TV's most shocking behind the scenes betrayal is about to go down. And why is it always that Deborah Mercury's at the center? Remember when it was Wendy Williams who they produced that show, and there was some mess going on with her and Kevin Hunter, and he wanted to get a piece of the pie after she done fired his ass for being a hoe. I mean, she been knew he was a hoe, but you ain't got the hoe pregnant. That was when you messed up. So there was always some mess with that. And then of course people was mad because Sherri done swooped in and took her job. But I'm like, ma'am, if you're not showing up for your gig, you can't get mad at somebody coming in to replace you, because that's how this industry is. Like roaches, you stomp one out, a couple more gonna pop up. So now, according to multiple insiders, Sherri Shepherd, beloved host and daytime sweetheart, is about to be blindsided by a revenge-driven lawsuit from her former best friend and longtime right-hand man, or as I like to call Ace Boone Coon, John Murray, the very man who she helped build a career for. They said, quote, Sherri has been nothing but loyal, one staffer tells us. This is Rob Shooter who's saying this. When people warned her about John, she defended him every time. She protected him, uplifted him, and gave him opportunities no one else would have. But while Sherri was out celebrating her well-earned Hollywood Walk of Fame star, because she did just win that, or receive it, somebody paid for it because that's the only way you're getting it. John was allegedly plotting in the shadows. Though he claimed he skipped her big day because he had a gig, insiders say that was strategic misdirection because behind closed doors, he's been in secret meetings with lawyers for weeks. Well, how you found out, Rob? A source deep inside his inner circle says John intends to sue both Sherri and the production company, claiming he was blindsided and wronged, saying John wants payback. He's not hurt. He's angry. Well, isn't hurt and angry kind of like the same, one and the same? Like I be pissed off, but I'm also deeply hurt. That's why I'm really angry. So I feel like those emotions kind of go hand in hand. But meanwhile, one thing's certain, this could become the messiest daytime implosion ever, and Sherri doesn't deserve any of it. Well, I don't know. Sherri don't necessarily deserve any of it because she, in the words of Britney Spears, you're not that innocent. Like, I just don't think that Sherri is innocent in this whole situation. I mean, I'm glad that she finally getting to live out her dream and be the daytime sweetheart and all the other stuff that she got going on. I mean, quiet as it's kept, when you look at the pickings in regards of daytime TV land, it's slim to none. Like, Sherri bores me to death, which is why I'm not into her show. My mother loves the Sherri show, but she don't like Wendy Williams. Do that at first of all, Wendy was entertaining. We like mess over here. So um Sherri show, I'm bored watching her. She ain't funny to me. But if you like it, I love it. But for me, I'm not. She ain't my cup of tea. Or as a wise woman on RuPaul's Drag Race would say, my cup of soup. Um, Jocelyn Fox, if in case y'all didn't know who I was talking about. So I'm particularly care for her. Don't even get me started on screaming for Hudson, annoying behind. And there be guests I be wanting to watch that she be having on. I'm like, oh, this seems like a good one. Like, I wanted to watch that Salt and Pepper interview so bad. But I was like, I already know screaming for her is gonna piss me off. That's why I didn't her dumb questions, because she don't listen. And she be acting like, like, she be doing too much. I'm like, girl, did you grow up on a plantation? Why are we talking like this? Like, stop it. So she annoys me. She makes my teeth itch and irritates my spirit, my entire spirit, not just a piece of it. And then don't even get me started on Kelly Clarkson and all them other ones. So, and Drew Barrymore plays with all her damn touching. So so none of y'all daytime hosts be giving me what I need in regards. So I don't really watch legacy media television in that whole context anymore. I barely watch The View. So I wouldn't say she don't necessarily deserve it, because I don't know. I get snakish vibes from Sherri, cloaked behind all that Jesus shit she be speaking, and I wouldn't put nothing past John Messy behind. He give me, like I've been saying, he give me Butch Queen teas, and Butch Queens can be real messy, messier than a femme queen. So I will definitely keep you guys abreast of this mess as it develops and see if it comes to fruition based over what Rob Shooter is out here spilling. So shout out to him. We'll see if any kind of lawyeration situation happens and why he's feeling away, because I could have sworn they said he quit. So if you quit, why would you be trying to file a lawsuit against your BFF? So clearly something was going on behind the scenes that we haven't heard. But if y'all heard any tea, y'all know what to do. Spill it in the comments. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding this whole flirtation that John Murray is trying to conjure towards his BFF, Sherri Shepherd? Do you believe it, or do you think Rob Shooter's out here just making a mess for for people to go over there and read his Substack? So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Great. Where has Arsenio been? I love me some Arsenio Hall. First of all, he was like the king of daytime back in the day. I wasn't the one thing I was mad about growing up in the 90s, I was not allowed to stay up late, so I could never watch Arsenio Hall show. And he has so many iconic guests on there. So the only way I've been able to see any of Arsenio's stuff is like YouTube and things of that nature. But yeah, when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to stay up late. 9 o'clock was my bedtime. So because I had to get up and I had to get up for school and all other mess. Shade Murray. John was a mess on the air. So can you imagine? Yeah, I agree with that, because when he was on the show, he used to annoy me. Why you gotta be outside? Well, look, I'm gonna tell y'all, when I get my talk show, my sidekick gonna be a drag queen. That's what I want on the show. If he had that good of a job, hey, hold on, because I gotta adjust my mic. If he had that good of a job, I was tripping when he promoted his mom's cash. He did that. Not unforgivable, but if folks are looking for a reason, don't give them one. Okay, that is true. You definitely just keep your head down and do your job, because if people are looking for a reason to fire you, Is it me or do older generations hate the ratchet stuff like the young people love? Like, have some class, stop being. Well, look, when I was younger, I liked the shenanigans. I like mess. But I think when you get to be a certain age, you start to outgrow it. Hence was like some of the stuff that I was talking about yesterday with the housewives. I'm like, I've outgrown this stuff with the housewives. And then when you watch a lot of these reality competitions, well, not even competition, because I like reality competition shows, but when you watch a lot of these reality shows or like I can't get any of the Zeus Network stuff because it just feels like it's purposely forced for y'all to be out here fighting because y'all know that okay on there it's going to bring the ratings, it's required, so I need to do that to get my little 15 minutes of fame. It was the same thing why I hated Jerry Springer because you knew it was like okay we ain't even on here to try to work out our conflicts, we up here to actually fight so Steve could break us up. Like we all knew that that was the reason why that show was there, and so that's why I kind of outgrew that. But I just feel like when you get older, you kind of outgrow the buffoonery. So I like Ratchet to a degree. Like the kind of Ratchet I like I said, I want to see that movie, The Housemaid with Sydney Sweeney. That's the kind of Ratchet I want to see. Like if it's intentional ratchetness, not forced ratchetness. If that makes any sense. Child, that's why you think I said he a messy butch queen. Not all money is good money. Agreed. This not Sweeney giving fetal alcohol teas. That's actually funny. Yeah, she do look like her mother was on kept her mouth on the bottle while she was pregnant with her. She definitely gives that. That is funny. Now, speaking of somebody who look like they give fetal alcohol teas, let's talk about Bari Weiss, who is the jilted lover over there at The View. Now, once upon a time, I don't know if y'all may have known this, and I brought this up many a times on this show, and it's funny how like I'm seeing all the articles bring this up. CBS News editor in chief Bari Weiss, once she was hired over there at CBS, she all of a sudden started getting a little more conservative leaning with a lot of the stuff that's going on over at that channel. There was even stories going around that she done fired Oprah's scissor sister, Gail King. And Gail King came out and said, "Oh, if they fired me, well, y'all need to say it to my face." So apparently, Bari Weiss back in the day, when we were under the whole COVID-19 pandemic, and there had to be restrictions for people being on TV, and they had to be separated, and The View was actually doing things via satellite, which was a hot mess. See, they don't know how to do like we do over here. They're so used to, everybody sitting at the table and having to have the conversation that when you actually are in separate places and cameras and things are set up, they don't know how to do that whole interaction thing because they're not of our generation. They a bunch of damn boomers. But Bari Weiss was actually one of the co-hosts that was on the show. And this is around the time Nutmeg McCain, she said she left, but I think her ass was fired. They just gave her that satisfaction saying that she quit. But Nutmeg McCain was a part of the show, and they were looking for a replacement. Bobby Rice was one of the girls that was actually trying to get up there and be a part of the replacement situation. As you can see, that's a picture of her in the far right, across from Whoopi. That's when Whoopi was on her big girl days, and Bobby was trying to get on the show, but apparently it didn't work out, and they ended up choosing Alyssa Farrah Griffin. And I know why they picked her. First of all, she was a part of Trump's campaign during his first run, and having someone that was close to knowing all the tea that was going on inside the house, they felt like let's hire that girl that was there in the White House during the Trump administration, and she can give us a little insight on the Trump regime. So I think that's why they hired Alyssa. No shade, just my overall thoughts. So since officially taking over CBS News on October, now this is crazy. When you got a Zionist that took it over on October 6th, and then I'm sitting here thinking of October 7th. Anyway, let's just get into the thing. Now, Weiss has not hesitated to make some right-leaning adjustments to the network. That seems to include some new morning talk show competition. According to the network sources, Weiss is quietly building what's being described internally as the right view, which is like she's so damn mad that allegedly, because this is according to Rob Shooter's Substack. Yeah, I was on there finding tea from him, and Radar Online is reporting it, so we can kind of take this with a grain of salt. But then again, when you think about these nutbag GOPers, I don't put nothing past these right wingers when it comes to the type of stuff they're going to come up with. And now, being that CBS is under the umbrella of Skydance, and you already know the links of David Ellis, the Ellisons, and Trump, and all that other stuff, and you buying up their media, how you trying to shift the narrative in how you want people to get their politics. So you go a little more conservative leaning, which quiet as is kept. GOP is on a whole nother planet. Democrats, corporate centrist Democrats like the Hakeem Jeffries, the Schumers, and all of them, they're leaning. Their idea of center or centrist is to lean far right. Hence why they hobnob and rub elbows with the likes of Liz Cheney, where her father can rest in piss, and so many of those other people that they decide to cuck themselves to. It's like, no, that's not what that means. We want more progressives like a Zoran Mamdani, like the way that they think of like, yeah, people should get free buses and universal health care and all those other things. That's what we're talking about. Not leaning further right, but they're a little slow over there on the Democratic side. Don't even get me started on the Republicans. But anyway, to get back into the story, so yeah, they said that the show is being described internally as the right view, which is being labeled as a sharp debate-driven alternative she believes the genre has been missing. Saying it's personal, a CBS source told Hollywood insider Rob Shooter, who writes for his Shooter Scoop Substack. Bari never let go of the fact that the view passed on her. Now she's creating the show she thinks they should have hired her to help reinvent. Weiss was once one of the potential names on the list to replace Nutmeg McCain, as I stated before, as a conservative voice on the controversial daytime show, but things didn't exactly go well for her. Well, first of all, she lacked a personality, so I don't even know why she would think that her soulless ass would have been a perfect choice to be on that show. So they did the right thing by not putting glasses over there on the show. So now they said with her power worders, she has already greenlit development meetings for a view of her own that would feature a panel of diverse voices engaging in real conversation without the on-air meltdowns or shouting matches that have become the view's signature. Well, they don't really do a lot of that, so it's funny how they keep saying like, "Oh yeah, there's these spats, whatever." It's like women, yeah, they're gonna get heated when they're talking politics and stuff. And one of the things that's kind of irritated me about the View over the years is that they got a little too political. But and then when they and it's like the show had a balance. Like you told about what was going on in pop culture and hot topics or hot topics in general. What was the hottest topic that was going on? Yeah, they talked politics and things that was going on, but that wasn't the only thing they talked about. Now this show just talks about Donald damn Trump all day. And they'll throw in the occasional view. Well, they throw in stupid view your deals, and um, they'll throw in some Reddit relationship crap, and that's that. And then Whoopi looks like she's bored and wants to just go home. But I'm like, ma'am, you sit there for $9 million a year. You better work for that damn check. So now they say, or as another source claimed, she calls what's on TV now toxic television. She wants a smart debate, not chaos. But I don't know if, when you talking about you want a smart debate, I don't think you're the person to be able to put something like that together. Now, Weiss has launched her news outlet, the Free Press. Didn't she sell it though? Has previously guest hosted several episodes of The View in 2021 and is said to have lobbied hard for a permanent gig, but she didn't test well with audiences. Yeah, it's up to the audience at the end of the day. If they wasn't seeing it for you, then why are you mad? The audience didn't understand her centrist right contrarian politics. During one of her guest host appearances in October 2020, Weiss battled it out against Sunny Hostin over cancel culture, calling it wrong and deeply un-American. While Weiss didn't get the gig, as you already know, like I said, Alyssa Farrah Griffin got the job. Now, here's the thing. Go ahead and create your little right-wing version of The View. It won't work. Many people have tried but failed to copy the format that Barbara Walters initially, broke ground with, which quiet as it's kept, ABC wasn't for it in the beginning. But nevertheless, They gave it a chance. The show's been on for like what, 27, 28 seasons, about as long as Law and Order, SVU. So coming up with a right wing version of The View, it's not going to work. First of all, they tried that on social media with Anna Kasparian and the crazy dyke bitch from fucking The Biggest Loser that has a black child, but is treating that child, teaching the child to hate their blackness. What's her name? The lesbian? Well, I did say dyke. I meant bull dagger. I was trying to clean it up, but it slipped out. It came out. It is what it is. Can't take it back. But um, nobody's gonna watch this show. They tried that show with the lesbian who got mad because they was questioning her over something she said, and she walked off the show live on air. And Anna Kasparian was a part of it. So if it ain't gonna work on good old social media, where people are more gravitating more towards internet-based content, and legacy corporate media is dying, and people really aren't watching regular TV like that. A show, a right wing version of The View is not going to work. And wait a minute, y'all had the talk. Nobody cared about that show. That show stayed on longer than it needed to, and then y'all ended up canceling it. So CBS, y'all had your chance of trying to create your own version of The View. Nobody cared. And I feel like in this day and age, another panel show with a bunch of cackling hyenas talking about a bunch of, spewing a bunch of Zionist talking points, those days are done. We see through the bullshit. We already see like there's so many people in media trying to clean up this whole thing and getting mad and saying that that they're upset over the fact that, people are kind of getting mad at Israel and all these other things over what's going on in the world. And the best way to handle that is getting rid of let's take away the phones, because social media like TikTok and all this other stuff is where people are getting all their information, and they're getting pissed off about it. So they're mad because they no longer have control over keeping the rose-colored glasses on our eyes, and that we're seeing a genocide happen in real time. And Bari Weiss is going to definitely be one of the people that's going to be spearheading that. So trust and believe. So try as you might that you want to create this show. Good luck, Buttercup, because I don't see many people going to sit around and even give that show. Maybe they'll give the show a chance for like a couple of episodes, but I can see that show flopping harder than you can say, yeah, I was trying to think of somebody that could flop. Who was it? The two that was on that's a couple, Amy Robach and that and the fiance, whatever the hell his name is. Remember they tried to do a podcast and none of y'all cared? So I can say it flopping faster than you can say their names. Say their names, say their names. But anyway, so I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Would you be here for a Bari Weiss right wing version of The View? First of all, aren't they trying to copy that shit over there on faux news? So if they don't trying to do all this in other places, what makes you think it's going to work in daytime? Because slowly but surely they're trying to transform CBS into a more conservative network. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I suspect it will be canceled after the first year. CBS has had issues for a while. Hmm. Yeah, with him. Well, he hired her to work there. I will be seated. I do like Nora O'Donnell, but not sure CBS would actually have the sense to give her that platform. We'll be interested to see who they pick. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, Jillian Michaels. That's exactly what I was talking about. That emaciated bitch. And you said that what Rob didn't mention is that Bari and Nutmeg are literal besties. Yeah, I would not be surprised if she actually gives Nutmeg a gig on that show. And also another one of Nutmeg's besties, Essie Cup. I could definitely see her up on there. Bari saying we need more dirt. Mhm. I forgot that they were friends or whatever. Or maybe it's because I don't really follow who Nutmeg's friends with. Or sometimes I just don't be believing her, because every time I turn around, Nutmeg be coming out here to my, oh, that this one's my best friend and this one's my friend. I'm like, girl, you like Sonny Hostin. Y'all be collecting friends like tchotchkes, or like Taylor Swift collects friends. So everybody's your friend? Okay. All right, y'all. So then let's move on. And, and let's get into MAGA Minaj. So apparently, the latest story, I meant to bring this up yesterday. but I totally forgotten. So now we're gonna talk about it today. So an update on this whole situation about Nicki and that whole thing where she was supposed to pay that security guard for getting bought by her husband, and she was supposed to pay a fee or something or another and never did it. So now there's a story that's coming out from Rolling Stone of all places where they went in on this thing. And she's on the brink of the judge, I should say, is on the brink of ordering the sale of Nicki's $20 million Hidden Hills mansion so a security guard can collect on the 500,000 default judgment he won after suing the queen of the Barbies rapper and her husband over his alleged backstage assault at a concert in Germany. So yeah, that's the over, that's the what do you call it? The drone shot of the house of the mansion. So they said, my tentative is to grant this, Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Cindy Panuco said in an afternoon hearing. I just want to make sure we're getting it right. She said the only outstanding document in the application to source the home's sale was a Bank of America statement detailing Minaj's payments on the $13.3 million mortgage since October 2022 and the daily interest accrual. Wait, so she's been living there she's been living there for 3 years? Who knew? Let's say there's no bidder who offers a full 20 mil, and it goes up for auction, and they don't get their market value, and it doesn't cover anything Panuco gave as a hypothetical. If it doesn't cover what the sale is required to cover, including the judgment in this instance, then I would use the evidence to help me to determine that. Now, the guard's lawyers, Paul Sasso, argued that the sale would almost certainly yield millions more than necessary to cover everything. And if it didn't, they could deal with the possibility at a later date, he said. But the judge wouldn't budge, saying she wanted the bank statement first. As I understand it, there's only one piece missing. Everything else looked good, she said. She set a follow up hearing for January 22nd to receive the pending paperwork and enter her ruling. Plaintiff Thomas Weidenmuller filed his application for the order last month, telling the court that he tried to enforce the default judgment through less extreme measures, but Minaj and her husband, Kenneth Petty, have not responded. Well, that's because she's busy running around here worrying about what's going on in Africa, then Nigeria to be exact, instead of worrying about what's going on in her own damn backyard. So I wonder, is that all a distraction? That you're trying to get everybody off this whole default payment situation, so you decide to jump on a bandwagon about something you ain't know about politically? Okay. He says 7 potential garnishes claimed they did not have any accounts payable to Minaj or otherwise failed to respond at all. The 8-bedroom luxury home has a $13,258,000 mortgage lien, and Minaj, as the sole owner, well, obviously, Kenneth ain't got no money, would be entitled to a $722,151 homestead exemption. The application obtained by Rolling Stone said, with the home recently appraised at $20 million, a sale would yield approximately $6 million in funds once the lien and exception are paid, if estimated. So, child, this is like a lot. But yeah, there's a lot more to the article. So, hold on. I was gonna say let's continue. Once I pull up another picture. So there's no doubt that the sale of the dwelling would satisfy the entire judgment with millions to spare, the application said, although it is regrettable that the extraordinary measure of forcing the sale of Minaj's dwelling is required. That result is entirely the product of her intransigence? Intransigence. Jesus Christ, y'all with these big fucking words. Like normally I can get these words down pat, but I'm like, what? In not making payment. Now, the application described Minaj as a global music superstar with an estimated net worth of at least 150 million. Which is why I don't understand why she don't just pay the damn thing and keep it moving. Like you have a lot of money, so pay it off, get it out of the way, and put it behind you and move on. But Nicki's stubborn. So there is little doubt that she is highly capable of paying the judgment in full, and yet she has refused to do so despite multiple written requests for payments that levies served upon several of her suspected creditors. White and Muller sued the couple in January 2022, alleging Petty ambushed him from behind and sucker punched him in the face as retribution for White and Muller stepping in to defend a female security guard during a dispute with Minaj during the 2019 concert in Frankfurt. Now, according to Weidenmuller, Minaj became visibly frustrated and blamed the female guard for allowing a fan to breach a barricade and climb on stage with her. Minaj allegedly started berating the female security guard while recording the exchange. Weidenmuller says he stepped in and told Minaj it wasn't fair that the guard's career might be ruined on social media. In response, Minaj allegedly threw a shoe at Weidenmuller but missed. Weidenmuller claims Petty later accused him of disrespecting Minaj and punched him in the face, leaving him stunned and disoriented. So your wife's acting like a diva. But of course, because she holds the purse strings, you decide to get up there and just encourage her bullshit, and you went and hit him. While the security was saying it wasn't right that you sitting there chastising this woman because of a situation that happened. Sometimes these shits happen. But this is why, especially with me working at the garden and how we have everything all set up so that way y'all don't be crossing over on stuff. We have security guards surrounding that whole situation. They stand back to the stage, looking out to the audience, making sure y'all don't be crossing the situation and trying to climb up on stuff. And that's what y'all should be doing in all of these companies. But I know like we run a tight ship over there at MSG. Everywhere else, y'all need to do better with how y'all work y'all security. So I felt a binding, he said, I felt a blinding pain in my neck, head, face, and jaw. I could tell in that instant that something was seriously wrong with my jaw, he wrote in a court filing. Excuse me. He said medics called an ambulance to take him to the hospital. He underwent the first of several surgeries and stayed there for 10 days. He said, I now have 5 plates in my jaw, and my jaw has not yet been fully reconstructed. The doctors must still insert implants into my jaw as part of the reconstruction process. In the interim, the doctors have inserted donor bones from a deceased, oh, Jesus, not a deceased person. Why do I feel like this is a horror movie in the works? Like, you taking bones from a dead person, and then they end up possessed. Like I've been thinking a little too much of those Japanese horror movies. But anyway, so um in the interim, the doctors have inserted donor bones from a deceased person into my mouth in order to preserve space for the future implants, he wrote in a sworn statement. White and Muller previously asked for around $21,000 to cover medical bills and $700,000 for his ongoing injury and emotional pain and suffering. Yeah, exactly. Pay me for my pain. The judge trimmed it down to $503,318, where she awarded the money Friday under a default judgment because Minaj and Petty never responded to the lawsuit. Because they probably think by ignoring it, it'll go away. So White and Muller's lawyers told the court they made repeated attempts to serve Minaj and Petty with the complaint, but were never successful. They mailed copies and sent a process server to the couple's gated community in Calabasas, California. Oh, they neighbors with the Kardashians, but never made contact. They eventually published the summons in a newspaper. A rep for Minaj and Petty did not immediately respond to a request for comment from Rolling Stone sent Monday. The couple, as y'all know, married in 2019 and welcomed the son a year later. The house they share in Hidden Hills is Minaj's sole property, according to court documents. That's always rather interesting. There's some celebrities that's like, oh, I got multiple houses. Not Nicki, she got one. Reverend Minaj and Petty did not immediately respond to a request. They said Petty, meanwhile, remains a defendant in a SA lawsuit filed in Brooklyn federal court by Jennifer Huff, the woman at the center of Petty's 1994 attempt rape conviction. Huff claims Petty accosted her at a Queens bus stop in September of 1994 when they were high school students. She claimed he forced her to a nearby residence at knife point and R-worded her. Petty was ultimately convicted of first-degree attempted R-word in 1995 and spent 4.5 years in the clink. Decades later, in January 2020, he was charged with failing to register as a you-know-what offender when he could move to Los Angeles in 2019. He was sentenced to 3 years of probation and briefly placed on house arrest in 2023 for violating the terms of the probation. Well, child, Nicki, just pay the man his coin and just keep it moving. you're only making situations worse. So we'll just have to see if all this, what happens with all of this once January comes around and the judge unleashes her verdict. So in the meantime, I definitely want to hear from y'all. If y'all didn't even know all these details, I just gave it to y'all courtesy of Rolling Stone, but I definitely want to hear from you. What are your overall thoughts about this? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Not Minaj and Spacey can be homeless together. Look, Kevin Spacey said he's not homeless. And we did that video. And he was basically like, yeah, y'all got it misconstrued. I was like, I didn't get it misconstrued. I understand what you was understood what you was talking about, because I know the life of a gypsy and a working actor is that you're traveling all over the world, wherever the work is, and that's where you're living in the meantime. Kind of like when you were pounding the pavement back in the day, where you don't have roots set down wholeheartedly. Okay, y'all. So now let's see. Let's get back into some more topics. And let's talk about Nick Cannon. Chill, I can't. So yesterday, finally, I came out, I was like, you know what? Finally, a black person with some sense. Somebody saying something with intellect, know what they talking about. We don't have to speak on the ninja nonsense. And the good smart stuff was coming from Lupita Nyong'o. Now, if y'all haven't seen that clip, I do have it on the channel. Y'all can watch the individual clip and stuff and give your old opinions about that. But nevertheless, here we go again with the ninja nonsense coming courtesy of some dingbat. And it'd be Nick Cannon. This is where I'd be like, you know what, yeah, CPS need to come in and get them kids. Because when he said this foolishness, I was done. But so let me give y'all context of what had happened. So he went on this podcast and he sparked outrage over his unconventional parenting take, I should say. So he went and appeared on a podcast called We Playing Spades with his co-host and one of his baby mamas, Bree TC, but about how children, especially young boys, should be raised. Now, during the conversation, Cannon shared that he preferred his sons know how to fight or even be a bully rather than be bullied. Now, while some people understood what he said, of course, people went and dragged his ass on social media saying, like, what you saying is harmful. So I do have the clip. Hold on, because I was like, I had to pull it up for a second in case y'all didn't see it. And we are going to play this clip and then we will come back and talk. Please.
The last time you got your whooped?
Before I came here by your child.
Ooh, yeah. He do like to throw hands.
He does. He's a little fighter, for real.
Little fighter, for real. Tell him.
Hold on. Before we get into the rest of this thing, the minute you put your hands on me and you're my child, I'm beating your ass. I don't give a good goddamn. You have to call CPS on me. One thing you not gonna do, what you not gonna do, is put your goddamn hands on me. So fighter, spider, you better know who you raising your hands to, little boy or girl. Let's get back to it.
Do not hit girls. You can hit boys.
Which, see, that's not
really no
either, but
just don't hit girls. But like, because the other little boys be trying to test them, and
you know what?
No, you gotta throw hands.
You do gotta learn how to fight.
Yeah,
not quite.
Just don't put your hands on mama.
I don't encourage nor condone fighting on either parties. I don't even hit my child. Y'all hitting?
Nah.
No, but
if I had them,
but you gotta teach your child how to.
Yes.
You gotta teach your child how to defend themselves.
True.
Girl,
but I feel like
boys.
That's other ways. You put them in a little, taekwondo class or something.
That's whooping.
But I wouldn't be like, this is for you to whoop. This is just for you to defend yourself.
This gonna understand, because they gonna get in the fights at school.
Yeah. If a little boy push your child,
you gonna be like, my mama told me don't fight. No.
I'm just curious.
The last time you got your out that little mother.
I do not encourage nor condone fighting.
Really?
Yes, I say you need to get
you standing on that.
I do, yeah. There's been times like now he in a school where it's like no tolerance. You can't fight. If you fight, you get put out.
Okay.
But in the schools that he wasn't before, he has come home and it's just been like, dang, that's unfortunate. But I'm glad you told someone.
When he's 17,
Saying it out loud didn't feel right, but I just don't. I don't like it.
You know what? I'm gonna go tell someone.
It's different. The kids are different now.
You see them cannons?
Kids strapped up in kindergarten to the chair because they know he a killer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd rather.
Like, why he gotta sit like that?
I'd rather raise a bully.
Cannons come through.
Exactly.
God.
I'd rather raise a bully than my child to be bullied.
That's so interesting.
That is.
But I'm not mad at it at all.
You see them cannons?
Kids strapped up in kindergarten to the chair.
Yeah.
Of course, her bird ass. I ain't mad at it because you glad that you got a big old celebrity sitting at that table across from your big back ass. So of course you ain't gonna have a problem with that. But I do find this a bit problematic. So, one of the things I believe I've told y'all this on this show, but I can't stand a bully. I don't like people that like picking fights with people. I just had an incident the other day where I told y'all I was at work and I cussed somebody the fuck out in the break room because they were from a different department. They decided to get real nasty and so nasty and so rude with a coworker of mine, and I had to go in and let a bitch have it. And I cussed her out, and then the guy tried to jump in. I was like, we can take this shit outside. So I don't mind putting hands on people when I need to. Now, I'm not going to sit up out here and try to get myself fired or go to jail or whatever the case was. We said what we said. It was what it was. We moved on. However, I do feel like you do need to teach your kids how to stand up and defend themselves. We're not saying that you need to be raising no punk or whatever, but you can say whatever the hell you want to say to me. The minute you put your hands on me, it's a problem. I'm going to beat your ass. So you need to teach that. You can't sit up here and say, I would rather raise a bully than a kid who's going to get himself beat up. What does that even mean? Because last I checked, bullies get their ass beat too. So I don't even know what the hell is Nick even talking about. Like sometimes I be thinking like, boy, you just a grade A narcissist moron. Like you have all these fucking kids and you don't even know how to even entice or raise them properly. Like, what are you talking about? And I hate the fact that, you know what, a lot of people sit up here and think like, oh, celebrities are just like us. And no, they're not. And then also on top of that, you always see like when they get on these podcasts and they try to act like that they could be relatable, and then they say stuff, and it turns out to be the dumbest shit you ever heard. So let's hear what the people were saying in the comments. One person on the Shade Room, shout out to them for that clip, by the way. They said, don't raise a bully, raise your kid to know how to defend themselves, which is what I said. Damn, why not just raise your kid to be kind, but also stand up for themselves when need be? Exactly, because bullies are people who, when you look at the textbook version of a bully, 9 times out of 10, bullies are developed because shit ain't going right at home. They feel like they have no control over what's going on in their life. So they take a lot of that energy and they lash out at the weaker person or the person they perceive as being weak. So, Nick, you trying to tell there's trouble in the household? Because we already heard some of the things what you was talking about. You having all these damn kids, and the way you fear that because you have all these kids, how they may end up turning out. Because as a father of 12, how do you split all that time between them? And then wasn't it Monroe? His 2 first kids he had with Mariah, who said that she don't have step siblings. She only has one biological brother, and that's Moroccan. And I don't know if she meant it in a shady way, but I think she was saying in the textbook term, it's like, no, Moroccan is my biological brother that I have. Like, that's what we have as siblings with one woman. All them other people is probably like my step siblings. So another person said, the problem is these kids not fighting anymore. They killing now. Well, that's a fact. Because these days, you got kids out here that's not even taking the time to what is it? They're not even taking the time to like work things out and not, daddy bringing guns to school and knives and all kinds of other stuff. We're hearing all kinds of stories of kids getting unalived because, differences of opinion or they getting bullied. So yeah, another person embarrassment wants to swallow Mariah. Another person, he ain't doing any of the actual raising, so oh well. Ooh. Another person said bullies get beat up by the kids who can't stand bullies. Absolutely. And and that's why I was telling you, I was one of those kids, I couldn't stand a bully in school. Being like tone of voice, bullies are a trigger for me. The minute I see somebody who is doing some bully type behavior, I've always been the type of person that steps in. And there have been times where I'll whoop a motherfucker ass, and there have been times I got my ass beat. But at the end of the day, I can't stand a bully. So why would you want to raise your child to be a bully? Like sometimes I'll be looking at Nick like, child, that lupus or whatever the fuck it is you got, one of the L words, Lyme disease, lupus, whatever, that the shit done fucked up your brain. So the person went on to say, continue to say, you're setting yourself up for a world of trouble for your kid. Another person said, this is why those kids were acting like that in Chicago, by the way. They were raised by parents just like this. Another person said, it's okay to teach your kids to defend themselves, but to prefer to raise a bully is crazy. Damn, everybody's going in and saying, well, what a whack statement. I hate bullies with a passion. I'm with you, sis. Another person said, you're not raising any of them at all because you have too many of them in too many different homes. Next. Well, that's what everybody be feeling like. Yeah, you're not even raising them damn kids. So what the hell? What you talking about, Willis? So yeah, he sparked a lot of outrage. As y'all know, that he has 12 children. And I was trying to see if there was anything else in here that, yeah, even with all the children he has, I wouldn't take advice from a man on how to parent. Someone else shared a similar statement encouraging social media users not to let celebrities raise your kids. And that's another thing too. This whole hero celebrity worship. That's one of the reasons why I created this damn show. Because I'm trying to let y'all know, like, yeah, stop with this hero worship. These celebrities, y'all be thinking, oh yeah, they a lot like us. No, they not. These Nick Cannons and all these other morons that be coming out saying all this other shit. Like you had dumbass Joel Santana the other day, as I brought up, talking about that kids don't need financial literacy, or what was it? He said, oh, they don't need actual literacy. They need financial literacy. So they don't need to know how to read? Because he said he listened to books. I'm like, okay, but that may be for you. Maybe you got a learning disability, and that's different. I mean, he sounded like he got a learning disability, or he sounded like he was in special ed. But for the most part, um, kids need to have all kinds of literacy. You need to learn how to read. You need to know how to have financial literacy and all those other things. So why would you even like tell somebody not to have one without the other? Like make that make sense. And then yeah, I'm not listening to no ninja that has 12 kids with a bunch of different women and just out here trying to populate the earth for vanity reasons and going to tell me anything on how a child should be raised. So I do agree with that because remember the reason why he said he had 12 children, and he said it was due to his negligence. So you're going to take some advice from somebody who's a negligent person? He said it wasn't like I was acting out. It was more of being careless, being frivolous with my process because I could do it, because I had the money, and because I had the access to whoever and however I wanted to move. Then obviously life happens as well. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to have 12 kids. It was more about like, yo, I'm going to just live life and have fun and whatever happens, happens. I can handle it. But you realize that, okay, and some people excuse the behavior because Nick is rich. Oh, he got the money. Oh, he can take it. But how many times we have the conversation about money can't make a kid feel special or whole or buy emotions or buy love or buy those things. Yeah, you can buy your kid whatever Air Force Ones, whatever car when they get to be a certain age, a bunch of houses when they become an adult, or you can buy them all the things you want, but you can't buy time with your kid. And that's priceless. So I'm tired of people over trying to bring money into situations. And yeah, with him, it was selfish and vanity reasons because you did it because, oh, I could do it because I had the financial wherewithal to have children. Because everybody knows kids is expensive. But with him working more jobs than a Jamaican, and more job, I would say more jobs than a Jamaican, Ryan Seacrest, the Mexican over there at Extra, what's his name? Mario Lopez and Simon Cowell combined. What you thought? Yeah. So he has he's able to afford to take care of all them kids. But like I said, trust and believe. When them kids get old enough, trust there's gonna be quite a few of them writing biographies on the fact that they daddy wasn't there and gonna end up on somebody talk show. So good luck to you, Nick, because he got what they said. Well, we had the family tree that was put up earlier. So with Mariah Carey, he had Moroccan, then he has Legendary Love. That's the one with Brie, who was on that video. And then Abby De La Rosa has Zion, Zillion, and Beautiful. I can't with these damn names. Then he had picked a girl, Alyssa Scott, has Zen and Halo Marie. Brittany Bell had Golden Sagan, Powerful Queen, and Rise Messiah. And then Onyx Ice Cole came from Lanisha Cole. And out of all the women that he done hunched, there's only one black woman that he actually laid down in the bed with. All these other women look racially ambiguous. So what does that tell you? So now I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Do you agree with Nick Cannon's parenting, where he clearly came out and said that, yeah, I would rather raise a bully than a kid who actually just grew up strong-headed in a good household? You should be raising a good man, Savannah, not a damn bully. That's what I have. That's my overall thought in regards to the whole situation. So let me know what you guys think of this foolishness in the comments down below. I read that Mario Lopez comment. Baby, let's see what the people are saying. Bully with lupus. They said Nick should be worried about him. That part. Maybe that's why he had all them damn kids. Because he wanted them to give him a bone marrow or something. Maybe that's why he did it. That could be it. 12 children. My God, today. That is one of my favorite lines when I said, my God, today. Bullies lacking a father figure in their life. So what's he trying to say? That's what I said. You might be, I always say when that one finger's pointing at you, what's the other one's doing? Pointing back at yourself. Oh, well, I'm pointing the finger at you. The other four is pointing back at me. So what you trying to tell us, Nick? Why's that kid lashing out? Why's that kid hitting his mother? Number one. Because he probably can't smack the shit out of his father because he's barely there, allegedly. Now, there's a difference between someone who starts ish and someone who ends ish. Yeah, I've never been a starter. I'm a finisher. But that big back one, thank goodness she probably do. Well, I did say that, but I did kind of call her big back earlier. The fact that kids are not learning to read, okay? Because our educational system is in the toilet. But I like what that lady said. She's like, yeah, they have a no tolerance or violence rule at her school. They're going to spend all that money on healthcare and treat those autoimmune. Mario Lopez. Oh, I can't stand him. Yeah, exactly. He do look Asian with all them fillers. I'm like, what is going on with your face? I was watching him the other day, and it was against my will. I was in the gym and the TV was on. And while I'm on the bike, and I'm seeing, I'm like, what the f happened to his face? Now, y'all was getting mad at Madonna over that blowfish look she had. That's definitely what Mario Lopez looked like, a Mexican blowfish. Still trying to maintain his youth. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, y'all. So it looks like we're down to our final four topics. So before we get to our final four, can you please do me a solid? If you have not already, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode. Excuse me, I knew a burp was coming. Of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Please and thank you. Now, without further ado, let's get into some semi-homosexual news. And let's talk about Kristin Chenoweth, who's about to lose her job. You were about to lose your job. So it looks like Kristin Chenoweth, who you know was the queen of Broadway, not the queen of Cotway, her reign on Broadway is about to end sooner as expected because there's this show that she's in that just opened on Broadway and is about to close due to poor ticket sales. So Kristin Chenoweth, the Queen of Versailles, has already set its final Broadway performance less than 2 weeks after opening. The production disclosed Monday evening that its final bout at the St. James Theater is set for January 4th. The decision to close continues a trend of new Broadway musicals struggling to catch on with audiences. When the curtain falls on Queen of Versailles in January, the production will have run less than 2 months. The musical, based on Lauren Greenfield's 2012 documentary of the same name about a couple of Florida fat cats mounting construction on a 90,000 square foot estate amid the 2008 global economic crisis, was one of the more high profile new offerings from Broadway this fall. Led by Chenoweth, the show marked a much hyped reunion between the stage star and composer Stephen Schwartz. Schwartz composed and wrote lyrics for Wicked, which starred Chenoweth as Glinda in the original Broadway production. F. Murray Abraham co-starred, playing the much older husband to Chenoweth's lead. Now, The Queen of Versailles began with a 2024 run at the Emerson Colonial Theater in Boston, proving popular enough to warrant a transfer the following year. The production was directed by Michael Arden, who won a Tony Award for his 2023 revival of Parade, and another in 2024 for helming Maybe Happy Ending. Which, isn't that the show with oh my God, the Filipino. What the hell is his name? The one that just came back. That was in oh my God, now names are drawing blanks for me. He just won a Tony. And he also was he said, I ain't playing gay no more on the big screen. I mean in movies. He played Andrew Cunanan in American Horror Story. Y'all know what American Crime Story. Y'all know who I'm talking about. It's not Jeremy Jordan. Jeremy Jordan is actually doing. I don't know why I'm thinking of Jeremy Jordan. He is in a Broadway play though. But nevertheless, now Broadway previews began on October 8th and the production opened on November 9th. Previews or reviews have been generally mixed to negative. One of my friends actually saw it and said it was okay. And Variety's Aramid Tinubu writing that while the opening act is fairly intriguing, by the second act, the nearly 3-hour-long performance began to drag. Now, for years, people have asked me, what is your dream role? Chenoweth told Variety in an interview ahead of previews. Is it Hello Dolly? Is it Gypsy? And I've always responded, it hasn't been written yet. Well, it has now. Well, girl, I hope you like playing that part because it's short-lived. Now, I don't know. It could be, what do y'all think is the reason why Kristin Chenoweth Broadway show is closing after 2 months? Is it because you're doing a show about a bunch of Florida rich folks mounting construction on a 90,000 square foot estate amid the 2008 global economic crisis, when we're in the middle of an economic crisis due to this current administration? So maybe that's the reason why Darren Chris, thank you. That's what I was referring to. Is it due to the economic, because we're in the middle of an economic crisis? Number two, tickets are vehemently expensive, painfully expensive on Broadway. I know there's a lot of deals that you could find when you go to that ticket spot over in from what I'm thinking in as a New Yorker, if you go to like that ticket spot in the middle of Times Square, you can find really good deals. There's been many times. One of my friends put me onto that, and that's how I was able to get like really good tickets discounted and really good seats for certain Broadway shows. So there's ways you can get around that, but trying to keep up that momentum of trying to watch shows and they're expensive all the time, that's hard. And then number two, is it because people are still mad, especially the homosexual community, that pretty much has made Kristin Chenoweth's career what it is today? I'm mad over her comments regarding Charlie Kirk. So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it. Because remember how she was out here talking about, oh, I feel bad for Charlie Kirk and his family, blah, blah, blah. The man was a racist. He was a bigot. He could rest in piss too. So with people feeling the way that they felt about Charlie Kirk, who would, if he were alive, would have caused harm on marginalized communities, because he spewed a lot of racism and homophobia and all those things. And I love how white people always try to curtail that. Oh, no one deserves it. Yeah, nobody deserves it, but you can't say that man didn't call all of that shit into his life. When you spew negative, and I truly am a believer of exchange of energy. So when you perpetuate negative energy and protrude that out to others, that will come back to you. So I truly believe in the exchange of energy, because we are all a ball of energy. We have a physical form, but we are made up of energy. So I do believe in that whole spiritual situation. And with Kristin, who comes out as a hard Christian, and some of the things that she said in regards of Charlie Kirk, I do feel like that may have had something to do with it. So unfortunately, another show Kristin is a part of that nobody cares about. And then they said that the play kind of drags during the third act. So nobody cares about watching a bunch of shallow ass rich folks flaunt their wealth in the form of a Broadway play, especially with these expensive ass tickets. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Do you agree with Kristin Chenoweth on do you agree with the reason why this show is closing or whatever the case is? Did you actually see the Queen of Versailles? What are your overall thoughts? Were you planning on seeing the play? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. I want to apologize because I actually said 4 more topics. We actually had 3. Now we down to 2. And that was because I accidentally was counting the Sydney Sweeney topic that I added to the docket in the middle of the show, and I forgot to get rid of that thing. So technically we have 3. Now we down to 2 topics. But before we get to these 2 topics, um, is he secretly Filipino though? Because I think he hasn't he admitted that he is. I know some people like try to hide it, but um I do believe that he's never hidden the fact. I thought we all kind of knew. Hold on. Somebody asked me, where do I get my info? You talking about regarding Kristin Chenoweth? That story came from Variety, which is an actual entertainment trade. So they're saying that it's closing. So I would think that Variety would know what they're talking about. Um, I think it's the Charlie Kirk comments and hearing she told gay people not to act gay around Lord. Oh, I forgot that she said that. And now even Olivia Dean did a whole thing about Ticketmaster and chill. I just heard that Netflix crashed because of Stranger Things. I'm like, goddamn people. I'm not gonna you're welcome. I mean, if that's what you think hate speech is, then you need to look that word up in the goddamn dictionary. Anyway, poof be gone, bitch. Kristen won't ever see a dime of my gay money. Well, there are places for you. If you are a legitimate crackhead, there's places, rehabilitation centers that you could get the help that you need. Okay. Okay, now speaking of somebody who's not out of a job, that just snatched up another one, let's talk about Jinkx Monsoon. So Jinkx Monsoon is about to play Judy Garland once again, but this time over in the UK's equivalent of Broadway, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the West End. So shout out to her with this latest news. So Monsoon will take over the role of the Wizard of Oz actress in, excuse me, Peter Quilter's End of the Rainbow, opening at Soho Theatre, Walthamstow, for its May-June 2026 run. It won't be Monsoon's first time as Garland. After the drag superstar famously played the icon during the Snatch game of the RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars All-Winners season, and Monsoon won. Of course, every time she's done Snatch game, she's won. The series will mark her second Drag Race victory after snatching the season 5 crown. Now, during All-Winners Snatch game, Monsoon effortlessly embodied Garland's mannerisms, gestures, and voice. We can't wait to see how this all turns out as they do, the whole RuPaul reference together in 2026. Now, like the film Judy, the 2019 film starring Renee Zellweger, which is based on End of the Rainbow, the play follows Garland in the final chapter of her life. It will also include some of the singer's most iconic songs. Posting about the news on social media, Jinkx said, Judy Garland came into my life, like many, through entertainment, but she stays in my life because of her stories. We know all too well the toll that fame took from her. Looking back, we can see more clearly the many factors that played a part in her storied life. I know people know me for impressions and imitations, but I'm thrilled for this chance to explore beyond the laughter and into the heart of why we still think she's much when we think so much about Judy today. Her tale is one that we can't forget, especially as women in entertainment are still fighting for autonomy and agency in their own careers and ready to bring new aspects of her story to the stage and to share what I find so tragically beautiful about her life with my UK audiences. And I think that's a good idea because if anybody knows how to capture the essence of Judy Garland, is definitely Jinkx Monsoon. Yes, she was doing the imitations and all this stuff because it's Snatch Game, is what's required, and we all know the whole goal of Snatch Game is to make Rue laugh. However, with her coming in and playing this, playing Judy Garland, yes, she has the mannerisms and the voice and everything down, but Jinkx, I think, can also be the type of person that could bring a sense of seriousness to the role as well. So I think she could tap into all those nuances that we need in order for it to transfer on the screen. So I definitely feel like she's not going to make a mockery. She's going to take the role seriously. And I hope that if it's successful, that it could find its way over on Broadway, and we could definitely see Jinkx bring that over here on our side of the pond. So Monsoon also recently appeared on Broadway, taking over the role of Mary Todd Lincoln in Cole Escola's Oh Mary. Before that, Monsoon performed in Chicago on Broadway, as well as toured her own shows, such as the holiday specials with fellow Drag Race alum Ben de la Creme. Which, sidebar, Jinkx and Ben have a Hot Ones episode that I think dropped yesterday, sometime this week. That is currently on YouTube if you haven't seen it. Now, Peter Quilter's End of the Rainbow will play at the Soho Theater, Walthamstow, from 15th of May to the 21st of June in 2026. Now, directed by Rupert Hand's, End of the Rainbow will play at the Soho Theater. Wait, why are they repeating themselves? Because now they wrote, it's going to play at the Soho Theater. They wrote that like 3 times. So y'all need to proofread before y'all hit send Pink News, because that's where I got the story from. Pink News reported on it, and as well as how all the gay blogs pretty much reported on it. But shout out to you, Jinkx. I'm excited for you that yet again, here's somebody who was a part of our community that stays getting them gigs over there on Broadway. And she laid out the foundation. She's the one that said, like, my dream is to be on Broadway. And she's actually gone on to make it happen. So shout out to you and good luck to you and all that good stuff. So I definitely want to hear from all of you guys. What do you think of this story regarding Jinkx Monsoon set to play Judy Garland in a musical revival over across in the UK? So whatever your thoughts on this is, because I'm like, yeah, this is definitely right up her alley, and she definitely is a good performer. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Yeah, I saw it in my timeline when I was like scrolling through. I was like, oh, because I don't know. Oh, I was watching this montage of what was it? Bob the Drag Queen and Monet Exchange, and then it was Bob the Drag Queen with other queens, where they were basically talking about their love for Laganja Estranja, and they thought like, well, Laganja thinks we hate her and all this other stuff. So as that video, I was watching that video, I saw like there was a Hot Ones episode with them. I was like, oh, so let me put that in the queue and I'll watch it. And then I saw that you had sent it to me also. So I remember that, yeah, you sent it, but it was a part of the curation situation. All right, y'all. So now let's get into our final topic. And let's talk about Cynthia Lee Cuckoo Fontaine, who, child, they had her out here dead. I was like, what? So as a wise queen once said, I look pretty good for a dead bitch. So yeah, so Cynthia Lee Fontaine, there was a rumor that was swirling around and all the other stuff saying that she was no longer a part of the union. Well, she done took the social media to call out a website after it claimed that she had passed away. So the Cuckoo Drag Race Queen, who first appeared on season 8 and was recently on All Stars, which y'all did her dirty on that season, responded to a news story from a supposed Drag Race fan site, Drag Spotlight 2025, which I've never heard of them. Like Mariah ain't heard of Hannaford, I ain't never heard of Drag Spotlight 2025. That claimed on Facebook the star had passed away. Writing on Instagram, Fontaine said, "This is absolutely false, very out of place. This page did promote did promoting fake news. Shame on you. And then funny enough, after I did this story, I kid you not, I had somebody that I know repost this story about Cynthia no longer a part of the union. And people was in the comments, including me. I had to jump in. I was like, "Nah, that's not true." So, yeah, that's the post that Cynthia posted on her Instagram. So I want to show that to y'all. So she said that I'm grateful for all your love and support. Now, now we have some drag race girls that jumped into the comments. Michelle Visage said, "Girl, there's a new game one every day." Pandora Box said, "Ugh, welcome to the club. This happened to me a few years back." Lana Jarre posted, I don't know what the hell that is, but is it a heart? Is it a duck? I don't know what it is. Walk that fucking duck. Jackie B said, "OMG, I freak. Glad that you're okay and doing well." The only detox said, "This is sane. This is insane." Sorry. Abora Rule said, "OMG, I almost lost my ish." Armando Blue said, "Having the whole family freak out. They were wrong as hell." The Joella Dynasty. Oh, we know Miss Joella over here. OMG, my heart dropped right now. So glad you okay. Cuckoo Sister. Vivacious said, "This is rude AF. I'm so sorry someone did this." Alexis Mateo said, "Some Espanol stuff." Probably saying that they did it for likes. Let's see what she said. Yeah, that is what she said. It was like, "I know how to read Spanish." They did it for likes, yeah. It said they could never kill the cuckoo. The cuckoo was unkillable. Kyan Thrax said, "Jesus Christ, so sorry someone done this. Sending you love, gorgeous." And not she is fair enough. That's funny. The song choice. Oh, yeah, because there is music and I had to mute it. But yeah, so y'all pretty much got the gist of the situation in regards of the comments and things of that nature. So then not only yeah, as I said, like Alexa Mateo said, people do anything for likes. Now, posting to her Instagram stories, she said, "I'm alive and more stronger than yesterday." Blasting the fan site is Blasting the fan site is very irresponsible. This really shows not everyone is a good fan, or some people just doing it for attention. And a lot of you social media people have to realize that if you're gonna get in this game and y'all gonna start spreading lies and all this other stuff, y'all do know that the minute you lose the trust of the audience, that's it. They're not coming back to you for any kind of verified information because now you doing stuff out here making up fake stories for clicks and likes. We've lost a lot of drag race girls over the years. And I think that, yeah, Cynthia has gone through some things that she's been sick and in and out of the hospital and stuff. This is not funny for y'all to be running out here making up stories just because you want clicks and likes on your tight ass YouTube channel. I mean, not YouTube, I think it was an Instagram page or whatever. So now, screenshots of the fake story also posted on Reddit in a drag race forum where more people have expressed their shock. "My heart sank so much when I saw this. I thought it was real. Why do people do this? They need some serious help," wrote one member. Fontaine, as y'all know, made her drag race debut in season 8, where she was eliminated third. Despite this, she was crowned Miss Congeniality for her vibrant energy on the show. It also is understood that she had stage 1 undiagnosed liver cancer during the filming of season 8, but she is now in remission. She was then invited back for season 9 and also competed on All Stars 10. In 2022, she revealed that she was diagnosed with avascular necrosis, a condition that causes the death of bone tissue due to lack of blood supply. She required a double hip replacement as a result. So, yeah, she's been through a lot over the years. Cynthia has been in and out of the hospital as long as we've known her from Drag Race and things of that nature. And here you go trying to have her in the damn grave. Trying to get the drag grim reaper to come get her. Quite sure. I'm not gonna say nothing else that's going. I'm gonna say some shit that I ain't trying to get banned. So I'm against that person that posted that lie. So let me shut up and let me just wrap this up in a little bow and by saying, what do you guys think of this story regarding this news? Had you heard about the fact that there was a story going around that Cuckoo was, no longer in the union? And what do you think about these people out here on social media just spreading lies for attention and clicks and likes. So I'm glad that she's okay. I'm glad she's still with us. Like I said before, this is not some funny mess, and this is not something that you should be creating and making up. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. Jinkx has been one of the most successful queens from Drag Race. You said, damn, who said Cuckoo died? I already said who it was. I totally forgot. It was like some drag site. They had her dead out in these streets, but glad she's not. Done alive, done alive. But anyway, y'all, it looks like we're at the end of the show. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the latest episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Off Balance G says they always with the mess. Absolutely. I don't know. I was like, should I do a Thanksgiving episode tomorrow? Probably not. If anything, I'll probably be back next week because it's gonna be a long weekend because it's Thursday, Friday, I got a double. Saturday, Sunday, I'm gonna be busy. So I will be back next week. I'll just have to cut up some of these clips and to keep the algorithm going. I'll just have to put some of these out there, some of the topics and things of that nature. So yes, love you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning into today's episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Hope you all have an amazing and gobble-gobbly Thanksgiving, genocide day, if you really want to get into the history of Thanksgiving. But hope you all have a great Thanksgiving, all that good stuff. I don't want to piss all over y'all a little moment, even though I just did, but whatever. So yeah, love you all for watching. Thank you all for your continued support. And until next time, ciao, darlings.